From chasing a fast 10k on the road to hunting down a marathon PB, Mizuno has you covered with the Wave Rebellion Pro. Built for speed, made to last the distance. Available now at mizuno.com.au and selected running specialty retailers.
That your skin can bring you so much pain. Now I hear you say you got the best of both ways. Won't you come and take a walk in my shoes and tell me if you take my place? Under cover of my skin, I've heard all your names. If it's all the same, I'll keep on walking.
Welcome to episode number 273 of the Inside Running Podcast. Thanks for joining us for another week. Big show coming at you. Say it every week, but just talking off air before we started this one. Lots happened in the world of Australian middle and long distance running over the last 7 days. Obviously, we'll be chatting about the Peter Bowl news. We've got some race results to go through. Moose is 5 weeks out from a marathon, so hitting some meaty stuff in training. Kenyan cross-country champs happened. A few teams naming their world cross-country teams. Australian teams still not to be announced. We'll chat about that again. Boys, welcome to episode number 273. Moose, the 214 man from Anglesey. How are you going this week?
I'm pretty good, mate. I'm pretty good. There's been a lot happening. We know that. Did you mention that on the intro?
I think I did, didn't I? Bits happening.
Sometimes I tune out until I hear the 214 bit, then I tune in.
You've been watching Instagram videos telling us off air, and I reckon I've just been tagged in exactly the same one. Someone just sent me a message saying, pretty sure this is Moose with all the tourists. So you want to explain that?
Caitlin Adams just sent that over. She said, I think this is you. And I'm like, very funny.
Caitlin Adams' interview coming up at the end of the show. I didn't mention that. That's the big thing. Yeah.
That's the highlight here.
That's the highlight here. Third place at the World Cross Country Trials race last week. About an hour with her at the end of the show. So bits happening. The other man, the 217 man from the Lake Biwa Marathon in Japan, Bradley Croker, welcome to you this week. How's Canberra?
Yeah, good. Got one more week of school holidays and then, back to work.
I went in today, Crooks. The unit leader called an early day in. Come in and get your classroom sorted. I've started.
That's because you're like permanent or on a contract or whatever it is.
Yeah, back in the real world for me this year. None of this relief teaching anymore. Anyway, so I'm putting posters up, Brad. You'd love it. Times tables are up on the wall. Spelling things. You'd like it in there, I reckon. Anyway, let's talk some running. Moose, you want to go first? Actually, you're back rolling, Croaks. So I want to get to your week in a second, but we'll go to the man who is prepping for the Osaka Marathon in 5 weeks' time. Take us through Monday through to Sunday, Moose.
Yeah, this week I was pretty beat. It was my first decent long run, which is pretty scary now that you're telling me that it's only 5 weeks to the race. But last Sunday I went 34 and pulled up a bit sore, a bit stiff. That afternoon, that Sunday arvo, I spent a lot of time in my Birkenstocks, just walking to the beach and took the dog for a walk in my Birks. Didn't feel like putting shoes on after a long run. And so I got really sore calves Sunday night and into Monday. Sore calves, sore ankles. I just don't have that range that I used to in the ankle joint. So I've got to be more careful about that. Can't be wearing like flat shoes just to kick around in. I ran with Berkey, Chris Burke from Ballarat. He was down holiday house. No, not a house. I don't know what he does down here. Torquay came and met me for 10K, so we just cruised around. I was pretty sore. He's pretty fat, so that equaled each other out. Then got up early for the next day was track workout. Felt really good for this. Although the calves were a bit tight, for some reason I just felt like I was like up and about. It took me a couple of reps to get into it, so I stayed, we had a pretty good group. got there at 6 a.m. Normally there's about 12 of us, but the triathlon group in town had decided we'll get out of the heat today. So rocked up, there's probably 50 of them on the track.
Is that the Beckworth Mob Moose?
Yeah, that's
they're all up in Echuca in the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I saw them and I'm like, this is Moose's locals up here now. Yeah, that was them.
Yeah, so it's pretty odd doing a workout at 6 a.m. Well, by the time you do the workout at 6:30 with the track just full of people, and we're talking proper, we're talking lanes 1 and 2 pretty packed, and everyone's pretty courteous. Everyone's got the track etiquette pretty good. It's nice to have an open track. We all like that. Like, when I mean open, I mean free. So going early's like part of the benefit to that is a free track. So hopefully that's a one-off. I know they go normally on Tuesday, Arvos. But so I was running 1Kers. We were doing about 3:10, and then the kick down was to about 70, 72s. The 1K on, 2K, 200 jog, 400 on, 200 jog. So it was continuous workout. The group had a fair range to it. So in the end, it allowed the guys that wanted to pick it up a little bit could do that, and then they would just jog a bit slower, and the group would reconvene on the jog section. So you can do a good group workout with different paces within this workout. It's just that the guys that go the faster guys get more rest because they're finishing the rep earlier. But in the end, I think we cut down a bit quicker. Me and Kieran, he's going pretty well. He went up to Falls, ran a bit with Andy up there in Falls Creek. So we kicked down to maybe 3:05 or so, and then 3 minutes. And then, I reckon I got the last rep, 66 maybe.
Ooh.
And I felt like I could do that all again. This was the first run in a while that I've finished, or that I've been midway through, and I was chopping blokes' heels. I felt like it was jogging. It was a really odd feeling, being super in control, knowing that I had a lot left. It was a good feeling. I haven't had it for a while, and it's a sign that fitness is creeping up, because I got it a bit on the long run as well.
This was the one Croaks he was up and about, remember, that afternoon?
Oh, yeah.
In the group chat. But we
He's
can't see your data, so I don't know if he's just talking shit.
You know he's up and about when he starts writing comments on his workouts.
Yeah. You know, I'm sitting
Can you
down
change your privacy settings or something, Moose, so we can see it? I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know how
you can't see your splits or anything. You just, whatever
you're
writing,
already.
that's all we can see.
Yeah, I thought I did that. I'll have to try it again. Because, I can see, but I get kudos for it, but not that many.
Yeah.
So people can see the workout, but they can't see the map, I guess.
Yeah. Or when you click in it, you can't hit laps and see your splits.
Yeah, all right.
Means nothing, Jon Snow. Yeah.
Yeah. Jogged. So what's happening now is I'm getting real tired, and I'm jogging a lot slower. So 5-minute pace just feels natural to jog at the moment. So 50 minutes the next day, 55 the day after. I went through some different areas on this day. I don't know why I did that, but I ran some, I didn't really have a plan when I went out the door, so I ended up running some different areas of the town. And then workout on Friday morning. So we had a tempo. I ran with Ali and Kieran. Kieran and I ran to Ali's heart rate, basically. So she's in control of the workout. It was 20 minutes, and for her, the prescribed heart rate was 20 minutes at 165 beats max, then 15 minutes at 170 beats max, and then 10 minutes at 175 beats max. And for reference, her threshold the last time that we did a test on her was about 175, 176. So she's basically finishing this workout at threshold and starting it underneath marathon effort. So we ran down Forest Road and then back, so it's hillier on the way back. The first 20-minute block we averaged 3:38, and then when we turned around we averaged 3:38. So we didn't change pace at all, but the effort got harder because we were, back uphill and getting more fatigued. But then it's the next step up from 170 to 175 where we could really increase the pace, which is 3:25 at the end. So it was a good workout. I mean, it's kind of grey zone stuff for me. It gave me a good indication of how 3:30 pace might feel for the marathon, and it feels pretty easy. Like that was an easy workout. The first 20 minutes, my heart rate was only 144, which is what I kind of jog at on a hilly run, and then 151, 161. So yeah, that was Friday, and then had a jog on Saturday. Went past the bird watchers. So I've worked it out. Mountain bikers, not that friendly, but I'll give them a pass because they're going so quickly and they've got to concentrate not to fall off. Then you've got like bushwalkers tend to be pretty friendly because it's all real slow and they're having a good time out there. Other runners, probably the best outside, the best bunch of people to run into on a trail. School groups, always pretty friendly because they're bored as hell, so when you run past them, they're always up and about. But the worst group of people, bird watchers / photographers. And we cop it on this trail we run on, or that I ran on, out along the cliffs at this time of day. They're all out there. They're all old. They're all dressed like head to toe, like they're on some sort of safari. But really they're only 2 minutes from their car and they never walk more than like a kilometre. And they've all got their cameras out and they all situate themselves like right in the middle of the path, like it's the most important thing in the world that they're getting a photo of this flower or orchid, because they love orchids out there. And they're just never happy people. Like they just... they don't even smile. They don't get out of the way. They like scowl at you as you go past, and yeah, that's where that caption came from.
Well, Moose, they're out there to snap photos of rare birds, and you're running through scaring them off.
Well, why don't they go somewhere where there's not an open trail?
It's like the kids that are like swimming around when you're trying to catch fish.
Trying to pull in a cod, and then there's kids jumping off boats.
Yeah, do you go fishing in the big popular area? Or do you go fishing in the quiet zone?
Yeah, fishing off the wharf and kids are jumping in. You're not going to catch a fish.
You two blokes would have never been fishing in your life, I don't reckon.
I used to do a lot of fishing. Got a fair few broken down boat stories.
You've got to take a boat out on the lake.
Moose, are they locals or are they people that drive there just to
they're
birds?
Locals. Yeah. They're locals. So I can't give them too much of a spray because they probably know my mum.
I think they own the place, locals.
Yeah, they'll come back. It'll all come back to mum. We had a big long run on Sunday. So this road, Gentle Annie, it's a trail that goes between, like parallel to the Great Ocean Road, but in the hills just behind it. And you can pretty much follow it all the way to Lorne if you take another road. And it's sort of Otway Forest. It's solid running. So it's normally a really tough four-wheel drive type track, but since they got the fires out at Wye River, they've got some like more fire break plans, I guess. So they looked after the roads more, and one of the things they did was grade Gentle Annie to make it drivable, which makes it a lot more runnable. So we went out there and we thought we'd do a big loop. So from Ali's house or the skate park area in Aireys Inlet, we warmed up sort of with a flattish area, and then we hit Gentle Annie and we climbed. I think we started at sea level because we started at the beach basically, and then our top point of the run was about 400 meters, I think, or close to 400, just shy of, and then you have to come back down. But on the way there are some seriously steep areas, like where the gradient is proper sharp, up near 20% on some of the climbs, and it's pretty relentless as well. There's not a lot of kind of false, like there's not a lot of flats or plateaus. It sort of goes up, and then even the flat bit is still a false flat. But I was feeling pretty good on this one. I think I've got a bit of fitness catching up, and so I was pushing the pace a little bit at early. There was Kieran sort of come into fitness lately, so he likes to play the big dog up front as well at the moment. And we had a guest, Charlotte Purdue, was staying down at her coach Nick Beddoe's beach house, and so she joined the run. I think Ali and her had a chat and Ali said, "Come along to the run." So it was pretty cool having her there, a runner of the caliber of Charlotte, 2:23 marathoner, and I don't think she runs a lot of hills, so this was pretty tough. But she still ran 30k and stayed with the front group the whole time. Pretty much, we had a few weight points for the group because it was a big group. It definitely splintered, and running downhill was quite difficult because of how steep it was. But yeah, it was in the end. I ran for 2 hours 35, so that's a proper long run for me. 35.6k and 4:22 pace, which over those hills, I'm not sure whether they give you like a gap pace for the whole run.
It was like about 4 minutes.
Yeah, it would be about that. Like it felt solid. 4:02s, yeah. So that was a good long run, but yeah, it didn't hurt me that much. But later in the day, I was tired, and today I was tired as well. So it does catch up to you, that's for sure.
It's a good week. Only 115, but a lot of quality in there. Says Charlotte did that at the end of a 200k week.
Yeah, I know. I saw that and thought, geez, I would have been complaining way more if that was me, because Ali was on the run and fuck, she was complaining a lot. And here's Charlotte next to her, not complaining at all. And I was thinking, geez, you live down here, Ali. Like, this girl's running more than you. She doesn't do hills. She just gets it done, and you're just whinging away. Maybe if you took a leaf out of Charlotte's book.
Doesn't have a child though, does she, Charlotte?
No child, I don't think.
Makes it a bit harder. Give that one to Ali. A few points there. Aaron Scott's cut you down in the comments here as well. You're having a bad time on Strava, aren't you? You can't win one at the moment. Who was it? Ali got you last week. Croaks 2 weeks before that.
We got 700 likes. He got 8 likes.
No, he got way more likes than you of his gag.
What did he say? At least
he got 28 likes, and I think.
How is that living rent free? I asked Charlotte. I said, "Oh, I heard you on Inside Jogging podcast," and she's like, "What's that?" I said, "Oh, it's don't worry about it." I said, "Oh, it's this podcast. Like Clousey used to be on it." And then she's like, "Oh, Clousey, yeah." I said, "Oh, and Aaron," and she's like, "Who?" I said, "Aaron Scott." It's like, never heard of him. And then there's bloke Josh Lund. Like, never heard of him. So yeah, it was quite funny. That's not living. That's not.
I'm just going with the Strava comments. He's got you.
All right, I'll pay him. He's got it. I mean, we all know the truth about the podcasts. We're lucky we let him keep the title, aren't we, Brady?
Yeah, you got it right. I'm going to talk about that in my weekly recap in a minute. But Croaks, you go first. Tell us about your Monday through to Sunday.
So I had a decent week. Monday, I'd had Saturday and Sunday off, and I had an MRI at around lunchtime on the Monday. So I got out for an hour. I just wanted to run a bit longer because I had 2 days off. Plus, if there was something wrong, an hour might flare it up a bit more than if I just did 30 minutes. So 4:25s for an hour. Actually felt pretty good and pulled up well afterwards. So when I went and had the scan, I was like, it's probably not going to show anything too major if I can run for an hour and not really feel anything and not have it sort of pull up sore afterwards. And spoke about it last week, got the scan back, no bone issue, a bit of edema in one of the muscles down around the shin there, which gave me a little bit more confidence in that I felt like I could push a little bit more, or like not be afraid that I was going to have a stress fracture or something like that. So the next day I got out for 45 minutes, 4:19s, And then Wednesday went back up to an hour, 4:26s. When I'm coming back, I sort of like to alternate a little bit. I find 45 minutes when I'm not that fit is a sweet spot where I can feel pretty good for the whole 45 minutes. And then an hour is a bit more of a longer run, I suppose. And so just alternating between them just helps with the load. All those runs up until Wednesday, I might have felt like, it's not 100%, but after I run in the morning, I pretty much don't feel it for the rest of the day walking around. So for me, that's a pretty good sign that, it's way better than what it was, because when it was flaring up, I wouldn't feel much during the run, but then once it cooled down, it was pretty sore. So I'm not having any of that anymore. So then on Thursday, I actually took Thursday off because we've started up Friday morning group sessions, and I wanted to actually test it with a bit of a light session. So I thought I'd take Thursday off. Got out of bed Friday morning. So we met for the session at 6:30. And when I got out of bed, it was actually quite sore. Like the sorest it had been all week. And that was after like a day off. So I'm like, not sure what's going to happen here. So I warmed up. First 5 to 10 minutes was a bit niggly, and then it completely went away. And so I jumped in with the sort of 17:30 to 18-minute 5K group, and they were doing 5-minute threshold, 1 minute slow jog, and then 1 minute, reasonably hard, like between 3 and 5K pace, followed by 75 seconds, walk/shuffle recovery, and they're doing that 4 times. So, jumped in. So we're running basically 345s to 350s for the 5-minute rep, and then around sort of 320s to 330s for most of the 1 minute reps. I think my last one was 315. Certainly wasn't sore, but I was a bit concerned that it might pull up pretty ordinary afterwards. But I didn't feel anything for the rest of the day. And when I woke up on Saturday morning, it was like I didn't feel anything. Whereas the morning before, I'd felt something, even though I'd had a day off on the Thursday. So ran then, what did I do on Saturday? Ran 45 minutes at 4:17s. And then on Sunday, I met up with Andrew McGowan. So he's back doing a bit of running. He was only doing 12K. So I ran 6K out with him, 6K back, and then continued and made it an hour 15. So 4:26s, 17K. Definitely started to feel my leg towards the end of this run. So felt like an hour 15 was probably my limit. But I didn't feel it for the rest of the day, and it's pulled up pretty well today. So I'm not 100%, but I'm managing it. It's certainly not getting any worse. So I was at 81K week.
It's a good week. Put some intensity in there. Bit of a longer run. Ticking the boxes.
Yeah,
you got rehab stuff to do for it?
I'm just I'm icing every day. Like as soon as I finish a run, I'm putting ice on it, because when I finish the run, if I push like pretty low onto my shin, it is quite tender, but as soon as I ice it, the pain like completely goes away. So you're doing more like calf raises and stuff like that, fair bit of like massage like in behind the shin all the way up sort of from down around the ankle all the way up to sort of the knee, just to try and loosen off that part of my my shin. So in the session, it was sort of a half session, like 345s to 350s, is not really running too fast, but it didn't flare up running, sub 330 for a minute either. So that's encouraging.
I like that though, and then you just take it down. Like you just go 10 seconds quicker this week. Yeah,
so I'll do a session tomorrow with the group. I think they're doing some 2-minute reps and 1 minute reps. So I'll probably look to run 320s to 330s for the 2-minute reps. And just see how that goes.
Good. What do we got? 4 weeks until the cross country, Bathurst.
No, I won't be racing. I won't be racing the cross country race.
You were racing.
Got to get in it.
We're all racing,
mate. I've basically been on the sidelines for 12 weeks. I'm not going to go up there and injure myself.
How long was that workout you did? It wasn't like an 8K workout. You can run 6K cross country.
Yeah, averaging 4-minute Ks.
You know how many opportunities you're going to get to run on the World Cross Country course?
Yeah,
I prefer
to be running in March, April, May, June, and July.
I'm not saying gas it from the gun croaks. I'm just saying just go run at 3:30 pace, 3:45s. Just have fun, enjoy the course.
We'll see how my leg goes.
You
As I
know
said,
what?
it's
He
not
doesn't want to go
100%.
head to head, Moose. He likes the ratio.
Doesn't like it, does he?
If he's on the start line, it counts as a race.
You know his mantra. If it's not a PB, I'm not racing.
Cross country doesn't matter about PBs. This is a good opportunity. Give it a couple of weeks. Give it a couple of weeks, Croaks. Talk you into it.
I'll be in the media zone, mate. I can't wear two hats at once.
No, they don't need media for the golden ticket race, Croaks. That's the next day.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Are you going to interview me after my race, Croaks?
I can. Yep.
You'll be the
lanyard.
You'll be the only one there. We got the accreditation. We will tell the listeners we've been approved for our World Athletics accreditation. Other than
Moose hasn't.
Moose
He's too lazy and was cut off.
Oh, you said it was going to be. You said, "Oh, you got a couple of days. You better get it done."
Yeah, on Friday.
I'm like, put it in my diary. I'm like, Monday. You're going to do this on Monday, and then it said expired. I was like, fuck. Well, I can watch from the sidelines. I guess I can shout questions out.
You can potentially. Anyway, we'll talk about that a bit later in the app. Maybe World Cross Country stuff. Go through my week quickly. 70 minutes on a Monday at 4:42s. Just jogging along after the long run, taking it easy. Bit of shoe dog chat in my comments. People writing comments on my Strava Moose because they're too scared to write comments to you. So
too scared?
Why
would they be too scared?
My response was, you got the wrong person. I'm not sure why you're writing shoe comments to me about plantar fasciitis and what shoes is the best for that. So, and then people are just like, too scared to go to Moose. So I'll just try to go to me. So I found that interesting. Tuesday.
Is that right? What run is this?
Yeah, Monday, 70 minutes.
Go have a look at this.
70 minutes. A few people want to know some plantar fasciitis, shoe choice chats in there. Top shoe recommendation, if it exists, to run with a flared up plantar. I just replied saying,
know any good ones?
Said, wrong co-host, mate. I'm the good looking one who doesn't know much about shoes. Think you're after Moose. And he just said he was a bit intimidated by your Strava presence. Anyway, I did 6 by a mile on Tuesday at 3:12 average off 90 seconds jog. Really hot and sweaty. It was like someone had a tap running at the end there, just sweat dripping everywhere. You know when you're trying to change out of your shoes and it's just dripping all over the road? That's what it was like here. Had to check the ego. Archie got away from me in probably rep 4. He's going back pretty well after COVID. He's flying again and just had to make sure that I wasn't... You know when you're doing threshold stuff and you can change gear if you have to, and sometimes you do that in training, but you just got to be like, no, I'm in the right zone. Don't go chasing someone. That's what I'm dealing with on a Tuesday morning at the moment. It's a good workout though. I like 6 by a mile. You get some good mileage out of it. It's like
you get heaps of mileage. That's a big workout.
Yeah. I think because it's only 6... You're like, it's only 6 reps, but it's 10k worth of, some quality work in there. So that was good. Got out for 80 minutes on the Wednesday at 4:28 pace. Thursday, a bit of a bridging workout because I was racing on Saturday. I just ticked the legs over with some 200s. Just kind of put 200 on my lap split on my watch and just kind of ran in a straight line. Was kind of running 34s, almost just like extension of strides really. I just wanted to move at a bit of a quicker pace with a smaller workout that then wasn't going to give me much fatigue for the next day and then the Saturday race. So that was a pretty light workout. Friday I did 65 minutes at 4:35s. That's when I listened to Inside Jogging from last week. So Josh was one of the guys who got trampled at the start of that Valencia race. So actually hearing him talk about it, it's pretty scary, like thinking about like he just kind of said he had people on top of him and he couldn't get up, and then people were also under him, and he was kind of describing like the squealing or the screaming from some of the people who were kind of like trapped, and just it was good insight to listen to, but hard to listen to. But if people want to check that out, that was on last week's ep, someone who was actually there, and he kind of explained that all the sub-elite guys went forward as the elite guys were still doing their strides, and then when the elite guys came back to get on the start line, there was kind of nowhere for them to stand because the sub-elites were already on that front line. So then they had to like push them back, and then it all just become congested. And then we saw what happened there. Saturday morning I got out for just 5k in the morning, and then I did this team's triathlon in the afternoon. It's good. I love this event. It's a sprint triathlon. So I think they do 750 metres swim in the Murray River. They jump in where the old bridge is, and then they swim downstream to where the houseboats and stuff, or the paddle steamers dock, so like the Port of Echuca. Then they get out, and then the bike ride goes. And then, I get to run at the end. Pretty technical course, like it's 5k, but a lot of turns. I think there was like 18, 20 kind of like right angle turns there, so you got to lose a lot of momentum to get around those. We were 3 minutes and 53 seconds down when it was my turn to run, and I pulled in the guy with about 800, a K to go. Didn't think I was going to get him, but just got him. So we got the team win again, which was good. Second year in a row for the mixed team boys.
So you caught a 20-minute 5K guy.
Yeah, I think you ran 21 minutes. And the worst thing is, you also...
You give him some lip as you went past?
No, I was concerned.
Seen his splits here, Moose?
You can see where I catch and I switch off a bit, Croaks.
First K 304, fourth K 314.
Yeah, because I caught him. I was like, show's over. I was cooked as well.
That's where you start warming the pies up.
And you can see, Croaks, that I got back going again through the Port of Echuca. Like, it was like 5 people deep through there. People, because there's all the pubs, so all the locals who don't even know anything about triathlon, or tourists or whoever's in the pubs, they just kind of roll out onto the street or like the beer gardens kind of thing and watch the race. It's really cool.
Could you imagine the carry-on from him, Moose?
Yeah,
it's good to race in front of your hometown.
Right now.
Good to race in front of your hometown crowd. So it was good to get the win. I was 4 seconds a K quicker than last year, boys. Last year I averaged 3:14s on that course. This year 3:10s. Tiny bit quicker course this year though, but we went 400 metres longer. So I was happy with that. I was gassed though. I was hurting in the cool down, like 5 minute 30 Ks. Haven't ran that hard since I guess Valencia is probably the last time I was on a start line.
What'd you win?
We got $300 cash, which was good. So
what, between the four of you?
Between the three of us. But then so it's Carly's GP who and the kid's GP who does the bike ride, and then it's Carly's physio who does the swim. So but we beat all the men's teams as well, which was good. It's pretty good. Oscar Reed, he came second overall. Big result from Oscar. And then Archie did the full thing himself and come seventh. So it was pretty big. Heaps of, I think the girl from Geelong won it, Moose, from Beckworth or whatever it's called. I don't have her name in front of me. But yeah, it's a good little country triathlon. It's fun just to see people exercising. And they're so fit triathletes, aren't they? Like, I'm walking to the start line from my car, like, just thinking I'm going to get smashed because everyone here has a way better tan than me. They're way more toned. They got all like Vaporflies and stuff. Like, you really question your fitness when you're around triathletes because they really look the part. You know what I'm talking about, boys? They look good, triathletes.
They do a lot of hours of training.
They're very fit specimens walking around.
I mean, I'm jealous of them being in the outdoor pool.
What do you mean? Just working on the tans?
Yeah, they get to be out like this. The tan from on their back would just be so good.
Yeah, okay. If that's what you're into, getting the body looking brown.
You're clearly into it. You just mentioned how much you loved seeing it.
Yeah, they look good. They look like they're pretty fit. Anyway,
not a great sport for a family man though.
Oh yeah, plenty of hours there. They're pretty friendly though. You feel bad because the teams start. We start 4 minutes behind the individuals. So by the time it hits the run leg, like those poor guys they've swam and they've rode their bike, and then I get to come in fresh for the run, and you're kind of coming up the back of them. So yeah,
it's a sprint triathlete, right? Sprint triathlon.
Yeah, remember that Sam Tebek? He won it one year. Your mate.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he came over and won it one year. Yeah. Then Sunday I got out. I went at 7 because it was going to be hot, but I was still cooked. It was almost like felt like I was doing a double, like 7 p.m. race, 7 a.m. long run. The DOMs got me. I averaged 4:45, so 2 hours and 5 minutes. Just wasn't covering the ground well, and knew I wasn't covering the ground well. So I just said, this is the pace I'm running today. Don't even look at any pace. Just stay on your feet for 2 hours and 5 minutes. Listen to the Coffee Club podcast and this other business investing kind of one, and just switched off and just got the time in. So it's probably the slowest long run I've done in a while, but we got it done. 122k for the week. Got to start getting a bit of fitness if I'm going to be competitive with you and Moose at Bathurst, Croaks. Even though you're just telling me you're not running. When in trouble, double. That's what I'm enforcing this week. Doubles are coming back. Need to pump that up to 140. Otherwise,
where did you hear that? When in trouble, double.
Christian, he taught me that one.
Oh yeah,
working a treat.
Taught me that one. So I reckon I'm going to be on the Christian Urix and when in trouble double plan. And yeah, because imagine if Moose beats me at Bathurst, Croaks, I'm going to be hearing about it all year.
Well, I'm the favourite at the moment.
Oh yeah, you'd be paying like $1.10, I reckon.
But
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, must be favourite.
Oh, sure,
especially with
favourite.
Especially with another few weeks under his belt.
How far is the race? Is it 6k?
6.
Yeah, that's not favourite from that hurts me.
You reckon? It's 6 cross country, so that's probably closer to like 8 to 10 fitness wise.
We'll see. It's been a while since I've beaten you.
Yeah, I know. Yep. So anyway, we'll do that. Let's talk about some Patreon supporters, fellas. Kick it off, Croaks. Who are you thanking first?
I've got Eric Elnan Garnvik from Stavanger, Norway. He ran 94.04 at the 2022 Stavanger Half Marathon and 3 hours 40 at the 2021 Valencia Marathon. I think he does some triathlons because he has an awesome Strava profile pic of him finishing some Ironman event where they're running on that like blue carpet. Does some running with the pram, and like most Norwegians, there are photos of his Lactate Pro on Strava. He's also a physiotherapist and strength and conditioning coach. So thanks for your support, Eric.
Another one with high IQ, physiotherapists. So don't hand out those degrees to people who aren't smart.
Correct.
Moose, who you got?
I got Johnny Lacey, so from Clifton Hill, Victoria, which is pretty hard to get suburb, really. Like, you got to be pretty wealthy if you own in there, but I'm not sure about renting. Originally from London, has run 17:58 at the Maribyrnong Park Run, 37:48 for 10K at the 2022 Sandy Point Run, and 87:46 at the 2022 Melbourne Half Marathon. Oh, I think he's 10K is the best there. What do you boys think? 10K?
That and 5 stack up pretty well, don't they?
I reckon the 10.
Double plus 2 minutes for the 10.
I'm taking the 10.
Okay. That's a fast park run too, that one, isn't it? Maribyrnong.
Yeah, it's where Liam Adams normally runs pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, yep. I'm going to thank Dan Wean from St Kilda East. PBs of 16:54 for 5K, 34:20 for 10K, 75:22 for the half marathon, and 2:38:44. He did that at Valencia Marathon 2022 because I walked to the start line with him. Dan, he was wearing Inside Running podcast singlet that day too, boys, repping the brand over there in Spain. He is a surgeon working in Geelong, so another high IQ listener. His family dog breed is a Nova Scotia Duck Tolling Retriever. Does that make sense to you, Moose? Did I announce that correctly?
That's Scotia? A pretty niche one. No, that's a place in like Canada, right?
Yeah, it is. The bank's named after them too, isn't it? Or the car brand or something? Anyway, do you know what kind of dog that is?
No, I never heard of that before.
The dog's called Nova. He's also a Carlton supporter. He's geared up for Rotterdam Marathon 2023. And a photo on his Strava drinking beers with Sinead after she broke the Australian record at a bit of an after party in Valencia that day where Toby and Christian were also. And it's also Dan's 30th birthday on Wednesday. So happy 30th birthday, Dan. Thanks for supporting the show. Good luck for the build-up for Rotterdam. Thanks to all our Patreon supporters. Bonus content coming soon. Waiting on a few race announcements so we can build a Road 2 series. Caught up with Toby and Christian. What was that, boys? Maybe 2 weeks ago? We'll try to do that monthly from now on to get those two bad boys on the airways once a month. Hear what they're doing.
I'm missing them, actually. They're good together.
They are good, aren't they? They're good. I'm missing them as well.
How about Chriso not buying him beers? And Toby calling him out on it. I like that.
Yeah, that was good. It goes a bit off the rails, that show, though. It goes a bit off the rails. Are those spikes really $400 that he was talking about on that show? Those Asics ones?
Yeah. Well, they're not even spikes, really, are they?
Yeah. What are you going to wear at Bathurst, Moose? Spikes?
Oh, I don't think I'm wearing spikes.
I think it's a pretty hard course.
That's a risk. It's a week out from the marathon. Yeah, I'm not going to wear them. I'm going to wear like a...
change the odds, Croaks. Change the odds. I'm spiking up.
Yeah, I'm not... maybe the New Balance shoe that I wear for cross country, the first version of the RC.
They were good.
I've still got those.
I put a lot of Ks into those.
I reckon mine have got less than 100. Mine's still good.
Yeah, take them up.
I did heaps of sessions out at Mulligan's in them. Are perfect for out there.
Yeah. If you were doing sessions on the tan, that'd be good, wouldn't they? Like that kind of slippy sand.
Are there footwear rules around cross country?
Surely not in the golden ticket race. There is though, isn't there? I saw Dave Monty tweeting some stuff on the weekend.
I'm pretty sure the road shoes So if they're legit on the road, you can wear them for cross country.
Yeah,
That's what I thought too, actually. And I saw the Dave Monty tweet, and I was like,
he corrected it though later.
Oh, did he? Yeah. It's fun. Yeah, when I read that, I'm like, I think he's got this wrong, but it's Dave Monty. I'm not going to call him out on Twitter about it.
I think he was saying it was the US cross-country rules, but then they weren't applying that. They were going with the World Athletic rules.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. The Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro builds on Mizuno's rich history of creating the fastest sprint spike in the world to deliver a propulsive racing shoe made to last the distance. Combining a carbon-infused wave plate with a maximal Mizuno Energy Light Plus midsole, the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro is here for your next PB. Available now at mizuno.com.au and selected running specialty retailers. Be sure to listen to the next Shoe Geeks episode to hear from Mizuno Global's product manager, Shansuke Ayo, as he dives into the story behind Mizuno's Wave Rebellion Pro. Anyway, boys, let's get to the running news. Croaks, kick us off with the Pete Bowl positive drug EPO news.
Yeah, so I think what we'll do is I'll read out the report or the press release from Athletics Australia about it, and then Brady, I think you'll read out Pete's Instagram post, and then Moose will read out a tweet from his coach, Justin Rinaldi, and then we can have a discussion after that. So Athletics Australia has provisionally suspended 800-metre runner Peter Bowl after an adverse analytical finding, otherwise known as an AAF, was detected in an out-of-competition doping control test on the 11th of October 2022. Sport Integrity Australia informed Athletics Australia on Tuesday the 10th of January that Peter's A sample from the test had returned an AAF of erythropoietin receptor agonist, which is another word for EPO. Peter was informed by both Sport Integrity Australia and Athletics Australia of the finding on the 10th of January 2023. This means he will not be permitted to train at a national, state or club level, compete at any level, coach, receive funding, use official or member facilities, or hold a position with a sporting organisation. Under the Australian National Anti-Doping Policy, the athlete is entitled to have their B sample analysed. They're also entitled to a fair hearing process to determine whether or not an anti-doping rule violation has been committed, and if so, the appropriate consequences. So that came from Athletics Australia last Friday, I think it was.
Yeah, it was Friday about 4:30 p.m, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This came from Pete on Instagram. It is critically important to convey with the strongest conviction that I am innocent and have not taken this substance as I am accused. I ask that everyone in Australia believe me and let the process play out. When I found out last week that the A sample from a urine test taken on the 11th of October had tested positive for synthetic EPO, I was in total shock. To be clear, I have never, in capital letters, in my life purchased, researched, possessed, administered or used synthetic EPO or any other prohibited substance. I voluntarily turned over my laptop, iPad and phone to the Sports Integrity Australia to prove this. I have requested the analysis of my B sample, which will take place in February. Given the subjective nature of interpreting this kind of test, I have asked that the lab perform a secondary confirmation. Above all, I remain hopeful that the process will exonerate me. My career, hopes and dreams are literally hanging in the balance over these next few days, and I ask everyone to respect my privacy as I remain provisionally suspended. Please make all media inquiries to my manager, James Templeton. And then Moose's coach came out, Justin Rinaldi.
Yeah, so that's his coach. He tweeted, I can 100% confirm that Pete has never even considered taking a performance-enhancing drug, let alone inject himself with one. We have always been open and transparent in regards to our training and will continue to do so. All we can do is trust in the process and be open and honest.
So the last one, you can't really do that, can you? You can never 100% confirm that somebody else has not done something.
Well,
unless you're with them 24/7. So we can kind of put a line through that one.
Yeah, and Justin, I believe, commented on a Let's Run forum saying that it was a poor choice of words because, you can't 100% confirm what another person has done, or
He's left the tweet up though. He hasn't pulled the tweet down.
Yeah.
There's a few things to unpack. So you've started with one, and I think we should do it so this doesn't turn into like a bit of a shit fight. So from a coach's standpoint, why don't we just address that right now? So you've sort of said, you can't confirm. Pete's never even considered taking. I mean, we have to be realistic when we make comments. Surely, obviously, that's sort of maybe a little bit off the cuff, sort of passionate tweet that he's put out. But I'm sitting here now coaching an athlete who's been to the Olympics, and I have no idea what she's doing in her house right now. So you cannot control someone, let alone control what they've considered doing or not. I don't like the tweet. I don't think it's a good statement to be making, because if you're making statements like that, like it brings into call all the other statements that you make. And so yeah, like that's my issue with saying something like that.
Clean up for me. You guys know more about this than me. And you were the first people I kind of spoke to when I heard the news to kind of put it in simple man terms for me. The difference between EPO and synthetic EPO?
Well, EPO is produced naturally by the body, and synthetic EPO is taken to, I guess, boost or increase your EPO levels. So it's like there's markers in it that these labs can test for to indicate if you've produced the EPO naturally or you've taken the artificial EPO, and that's always through an injection.
Okay.
And one of the big problems is because he's tested positive to EPO, it's a lot harder to, I guess, clear his name, especially if the B sample comes back as positive as well, because the only way of getting EPO in your system is basically through injecting yourself. Whereas if it was a banned stimulant, for example, you can probably claim that, you accidentally took, some supplement, or
Chemist Warehouse or something.
Contaminated food potentially.
Yeah,
we've seen it a lot, haven't we? We've seen Alberto Contador eating the contaminated steak, and then you've seen like people claim burritos contain meat with high in nandrolone, like the shall we put the hand case?
The steroid stuff. But but the problem is EPO is not in food. It's basically you inject it. So that makes it a lot harder to. I guess clear your name, especially if the B sample comes back, and I don't know why they do it. I'd love to talk to somebody who's involved with like drug testing, but like why not like let Pete know, let Athletics Australia know that his A sample has come back positive. Obviously he can't compete at that point, but don't make it public. Go and get the B sample tested as well. If the B sample comes back negative, so that both the A and the B, then it gets publicly announced. Because, like, if the B comes back negative, he's going to be fine and cleared. But it's still going to damage his reputation. Like, it doesn't matter what happens from here. He'll be on a start line, and people will be going, "Oh, that was the guy that had the positive A sample, but then the B sample somehow miraculously was negative." Like. Whereas you can avoid that by going, the A sample and the B sample have both tested positive. Now he's banned. So I don't know why they do it this way.
Well, wouldn't there be that much trust in the A sample though? Like the same thing. I've got no idea how they go about it, but I'm assuming they have very, very strict protocols to test these samples, and they analyse this stuff very, very thoroughly. And these are very, very smart people that then make the call on this to be like, we've got it. This is the A sample. We believe our test. This is the consequence now. Yeah. We don't need to get the B. Like we are, and it's very rare the B comes back any different than the A. Like when do we? Because I feel like that's a situation now. Like it's wait for the B, bought some time, but we're really saying there's been a human error in the lab. Is that one option, or he's been injecting synthetic EPO? that's the second option. They're the only two outcomes we have here in Feb. And both of them are terrible for the sport. Because if the lab's making mistakes, then well, what can you trust about catching or not catching people? And then if the pin-up boy of Australian track and field is using synthetic EPO, well, the sport's very dark day for the sport as well. Like there's no winning outcome that's going to happen in Feb, is there? Like the sport's screwed or the testing system isn't up to scratch.
I think a lot of people are realising the clear-cut kind of nature of what you just presented. It's like it's either a lab error or he's doping. There's no in between, and so there's been a lot of emotion around it, and there's been two arguments or two supportive type arguments from people in the media and perhaps other athletes who are associated with Peter about why they think he's innocent or whatever. And one of them is that he's a really good guy. We could never see him doing that. Now, we have to look at facts. He can be the best guy in the world, but good guys still make mistakes like that. Like how many good guys and girls do you know that have cheated on their wife or their husband or their girlfriend? I think that's like morally, you can present as a really clean cut, nice person, but you can still make some terrible mistakes in life. And so I just don't have much time for that type of argument. I think we need to be a lot more fact-based with it. We need to take the emotion away.
And you guys would have seen the news article where supposedly he'd had 20 tests between October and that 10th of January that had all come back negative. But even that's not necessarily a defence, because I don't think Lance Armstrong ever failed a drug test but then came out and admitted to taking drugs. So
can't use that excuse at all.
Why would they test him that amount of times in that, like October to Jan? It's not what's that, 4 months? 20
it's
tests.
like seven times a month.
He was getting
tested. If that's true, like that's a lot.
Well, who knows?
All that stuff's kind of that's you just got to go back to the basic facts, don't you? He's got it in the system. We're not sure how the B sample's going to show.
But
there's that narrative in the media at the moment.
There is, and it's almost like, how this is so unfair on Pete. How is the lab fucked up and it's a flawed system? And it's the kind of same playbook as what we saw from Shelby Houlihan with the burrito case. And I believe they even have the same legal defense sort of team working on it. So if you're seeing some familiarities there, it's because it's the same people kind of writing the statements and pulling the strings here.
Yeah,
like obviously we hope.
I read that today.
Like obviously, it'd be ideal if the B sample came back as negative, and then but then obviously the people that are doing the drug test, they'll be the ones that then will have to explain, well, how do you get a positive in the A sample and a negative in the B sample? Like that's, because this, as you know, like when you're doing a drug test, you do one sample and it gets split between two bottles, so it's the same sample. So if it comes back, positive in the A and negative in the B, that would almost indicate something like they've stuffed up in the lab.
I think there is like the potential for tests to show false positives. I'm not sure of the probability of that happening here, but it's not even human error. It's just part of the sampling process, is that occasionally there's error. And I think that's really what Peter and the team are relying on has happened, or not that they're relying on it, but that's kind of their best hope for this B sample to come out clean is that the A sample was a false positive. But there's historically been very, very few examples of that happening. And most of the time, if your A sample's positive, your B sample is also positive.
Was one famous one though, Moose, Burnley-Gat?
Yeah, and I didn't do much deep dive in this. I believed it was EPO, but I thought it might have been blood values rather than synthetic EPO.
It was.
Yes. So I'm not sure of the exact details of that.
Same manager as Pete.
James
Same
Templeton,
manager.
who was in that press release. Also the manager of David Radisha, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. It's been interesting watching the media, the social media, and to see athletes be very quiet on this at the moment.
That was one of my points here. Is that good or bad? Like that we've seen nothing from the prominent Australian middle distance runners. Or you think everyone's just waiting for the B?
I think everyone's waiting, but I also think it's a sign that he was kind of well loved in the distance running community, and that he might say he gets his B sample is positive as well, and he gets banned for 4 years or whatever. They're probably just, because there is friendships there, they just stay quiet and let it pass over rather than come out and be quite firm in their what do you call it, like denouncing it.
Yeah, it goes both ways, doesn't it? You offer a lot of support now and kind of back him, or you call him out and say.
Off record, I've spoken to a lot of athletes who have been on teams with him and have, and I guess know him, and most of them say, "I can't believe it." I can't believe that it's happening, but they're also quite smart about it and go, well, it's very hard to see any other possibility other than that he cheated based off the circumstances of the drug found and the testing involved.
Yeah. Fourth at the Olympics, Australian record holder. And the man who broke through to the mainstream. Like, I think at the time when he made that final at Tokyo Olympics, we were all in lockdown. Every man and their dog was cheering for him in Australia. I remember working at school and people everyone knew him. Like, he's the name. I was at school today and people asking me, what do I think about the situation? Like, they don't do that when a Kenyan gets popped or a Russian or an American. Yeah.
But I think it was important for us tonight to be consistent, though, because, you know, we can't come on here, like, knowing how sort of harsh we've been when other athletes from other countries have tested positive. We can't come on here and say, oh, there's got to be a mistake, because that wouldn't be doing a service to our sport either. So obviously we've got to wait till the B sample comes back. But and that's why, even more reason, like, don't make it so public until the B's also positive, because, like, as I said, his reputation will never be the same, even if the B sample comes back negative, which means, question for you boys, if it comes back negative, the B sample, can he sue somebody for his reputation being tarnished as a result of this?
I have no idea. Yeah,
that is a very good question, because his reputation is cooked. I guess Bernard Lagat, there's been enough sort of water under the bridge for 20 years now that we don't really think doper as soon as we hear his name. We hear longevity or we hear range. Like, they're the sort of things we think of. Whereas, like, Pete Bowles it's just with him now. This headline is with him, and it's unfortunate. I mean, when I say it's only unfortunate if his B sample comes back negative. Like, it's not unfortunate if both samples are positive and there's, like, no question that he's doped. That's not unfortunate at all. He deserves everything that he gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch this space.
See what happens in Feb. Then that kind of led to, we don't know, but there's been a delay in the world cross-country team being announced. We're kind of speculating who was going to make up those last three spots on the men's and women's team last week. And I think we'll talk on Monday night about the teams probably being announced already by the time this went on to iTunes, Spotify on the Wednesday. But it's now, Jan 23rd, Monday night, and still no news there. Hearing whispers there could be appeals. Hearing whispers it could be because they don't want to name it close to the Pete Bowl news.
No, it is that.
That
is it.
Okay.
It is that. Like, there's no question. They're not releasing.
Are there appeals?
I reckon there would have been an appeal too. Possibly.
Okay. Well, I don't know
the
much
athletes know, though, don't they?
The athletes know.
Yeah, they do.
Which is fine, as long as the athletes know. Imagine sweating on that for like 10 days.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard to plan training as well because it's so close.
Yeah.
But there's precedent for that.
Okay.
But
so
I
we'll
think
just wait for that
I think
as well.
the plan is to let the storm blow over, and then the athletes that are actually on the team, they can be celebrated without all the cloud over it, the top of it.
And I think we've all come around, because when I first saw an announcement that or a press release saying that we're not announcing the World Cross team due to, what happened the day before, which was the Pete Bowl news, I'm like, oh, they can't do two things at once. But it makes sense, I suppose, to celebrate the people that have made World Cross as opposed to just doing it straight off the back of Pete.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually came around as well, and I think it's a better decision by AA to do that.
Yeah, as long as the athletes know. Adelaide 5K. There was a 5K over there. Some quick times. Riley Cox got the win, 14:12. Max Stevens second, 14:20. And Daniel Canala. Haven't heard his name for a while, but good to see his back in 14:24. Isobel Hume, she won the women's in 16:52. Sophie Hilpala was second in 16:53, so that would have been a close finish. Brooke Hines third, 16:57. And then Croaks, the US, had their cross-country trials for the team at Bathurst. No big names, but still some fast times.
Yeah, so I'll go through, I guess, top six for women and men. So Ednah Kurgat won the race in 32:07. McKenna Morley, 32:24. Emily Durgan, 32:27. Emily Lapari was fourth in 32:32. Wiani Kaladi was fifth in 32:39, and Katie Izzo was sixth in 32:40. Men's race, Emmanuel Bohr got the win, 28:44. Andrew Colley second in 28:48. Anthony Rotich third in 28:49. Leonard Career 28:49 for fourth. Sammy Chilenga 28:49 for fifth. And Dylan Maggard was sixth in 28:49 as well. So obviously a sprint finish for those places. But I did write up here that, I reckon I know out of those 12, maybe 4 or 5 names sort of rung a bell with me, because the people that I thought would have run would have been maybe all the Bauman athletes, so Lise Cranny, Carissa Schweitzer, Courtney Frericks, and then you've got the likes of Emily Sisson, Alicia Monson, who's with the On Athletics Club. And then from the men, you've got Grant Fisher, Scott McGordy, Klecker, Connor Mance, Willie Kincaid, Cooper Tier, Cole Hocker, Nico Young. So, there's, and those are the names that if you ask me who are the big names of USA distance running, the ones that I've just announced are the ones that I recognise over the ones that are actually in the team, which is a little bit disappointing. Thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think they rate World Cross. I think if you look at the Denmark results, same thing. It's not that deep. And Bauman rarely race anyway, do they? They like doing their time trials, hitting their times, and then peak for the championships on the track.
Do you reckon it's because all their bonuses are attached to track and there's absolutely nothing in there for cross-country?
I think these guys look at this and go, okay, so you want me to fly to the other side of the world to come potentially 25th to 35th in a cross-country race that gives me no money and it's going to muck around my training. It's I think it's similar to the Morgan McDonald situation, why he didn't want to come and do it.
It's still disappointing though, because, we hear about how World Cross Country is the hardest race in the world to win because, you get 6 top runners from every single country, and there's no way that US are sending their best team.
Yeah, I'm just looking up who was their team for Denmark.
They've had. I'm not sure Denmark, but I know in the past they've had Chris Derrick's run a few back, a few years back. I remember Scotty Bowes ran. Does Galen Rupp run many World Cross?
Good question.
I know they had 33rd and 34th in Denmark. Shadrick Kipchakir and Kenabini. I reckon they're both going to the marathon.
I definitely think having it in Australia has hurt maybe the depth, because people just don't want to travel this far when they've got other goals, whether it be indoors or whatever. No doubt, I reckon if it was in Europe, then Ingebrigtsen's probably running it. or if it's in Europe, some of these other US guys are probably going to, try and make the team.
What we do know, though, there'll be 6 good Kenyans, Ethiopian, Ugandans, Eritreans. Like, it's still a hard race to win. There's 24 legit people just there.
Yeah, and look, guys like Lenny Carrier and Sam Chilanga, like they're decent runners, and they finished 4th and 5th. And even
Sammy, I raced him at Zadabek one year. When I say raced, I stood on the start line with him, and he lapped me. He's been to Australia before.
6th, a low 27-minute 10K guy. So,
yeah, still quality guys, just not the big high-profile ones. Their course looked really easy too. Did you see that? They were talking about you wear super shoes on it. That's what we're talking about with that Dave Monty thing.
Yeah, it just looked windy.
Did it? Yeah, I didn't see the actual footage, just saw some photos of it. Then Kenya had their cross-country champs as well, Moose. Not really this relevant because they've already had their world cross-country trials, but some big Kenyans getting around here.
Yeah, I'll rip through them then. Ruth Chepng'etich, which is a famous name, 32.56. What's she done?
Isn't she like 2:14?
Yeah, I reckon she's the good girl.
Yeah,
Sheila,
she's real legit. She won the world champs, didn't she?
Well, she actually backed up after winning this and ran the relay and won that as well.
What, in a relay team?
Yeah.
Second place. Oh, she's won this close. Sheila Chepkurui, 32.58, and then Zena Chimutai, 33.06. In the men's race, Charles, this must be difficult because these aren't fast times for these girls and boys. Charles Lokir ran 29.16, or very close with Isaac Kibet, 29.16, and Dennis Chepng'etich ran 29.23.
Probably 3,000 metres above sea level, Moose.
Yeah. Chepng'etich won the Doha, Moose, when you were there, girls' race. You would have watched her go past. And then she ran 2:14 in Chicago. Remember she took out... She was leading Pat Tiernan for the first 5K.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she would have actually broken the world record if she probably paced it. It was a bit more conservative early.
Yeah. Gee, she's won some marathons. Chicago, Nagoya, world champs.
You reckon she's the favourite at World Cross?
She's won Paris.
Wait, in the team?
Is she going to World Cross?
G'day. She'll be there.
We'd have to go back. I don't reckon she was. I don't reckon she was in that trial.
Yeah, but I don't think their trial carried that much weight. I think that's why they're still rocking up to this one too.
Yeah, no, I read it. So where I got these results from the World Athletics was basically saying that the World cross-country champs teams already selected based on the trials, but the people that ran well here were going to some other gold label cross-country meet.
Oh, okay. You'd know. Actually, maybe I'm thinking about Ethiopia and G'day.
Yeah, I think that might have been the case. Yeah.
Listen to question, Croaks.
Yep. Hey guys, had a question about keeping up good training while travelling. I have to travel a fair amount for work and it always seems to knock me around. But in the past, I've heard you guys talk about travelling and manage to keep up good training and not pick up any little injuries in the process. Would love to get some tips on what I could be doing better to keep the body fresh and maybe even a discussion on what type of shoe is best to take if you're going for multiple days but want to travel light. Thanks as always and keep up the good work. That question comes from Supreeth.
Supreeth, long-time supporter, long-time listener. Jack Davies, Run to PB, coaches him. Supreeth.
Shut up, mate.
Run to PB plug for the day. Haven't got a big coaching announcement next week, Moose. New coach coming on board. An NCAA champion coming on board. So Supreeth over in the US will know this name. Anyway, won't talk about that yet. Well, I've got first one, Supreeth. Don't drive long stretches. Whenever I go to Melbourne for a race, which is 3 hours, I try to get out every hour and just do a little 2-minute jog. Just stretch the legs, just do a bit of a power walk, a jog. You look like a bit of a meathead in the car park of a servo or something, just jogging in, a minute out, minute back. But I find that works well for me when I'm travelling like that. I'm not sure if you mean on the day travel or actually travelling back-to-back days. But that's one thing I do if I'm ever sitting in the car. Because that time I cooked my hammy. Remember when I drove back from Sydney in one day, boys?
I remember.
It took me 6 weeks to get over that hamstring. That was because I sat down it for too long. So get out, stretch your legs. Yeah, you're going to get there a bit later, but it's going to help you in the long run. What do you boys got?
Yeah, I love the question on shoes. So I'll answer that one. Having a versatile shoe in your shoe closet or your shoe quiver is pretty important for, I think, because if you're going to travel, say you get carry-on luggage, whatever, you need to take one shoe, and you're going for 4 days. Within that 4 days, you've most likely got a long run and you've most likely got a workout as well as 2 jogs. So you need something that can handle the easy running as well as going long. But if you want to go a bit quicker on your workout day, you can. So there's a certain type of shoe out there, is that like the do-it-all Mr. Versatile. And I really like that. I traveled around America for like, I'm going to say 12 weeks or something. Ran even more, maybe 16 weeks. Ran 2 marathons, ran trail runs, ran everywhere, one type of shoe. Didn't have any type of race shoe, any type of trail running shoe. I just had one shoe. It was a Saucony Kinvara, which was the most versatile shoe that ever existed. But nowadays there's a couple more out there that you could probably do better than that one with.
Mm-hmm. Craigs, what are you got for travelling?
I think just like if you're traveling for work and you're in a new city, new country, there's jet lag involved, like just lower your expectations a little bit. Like don't go overseas like for work expecting that training's going to be perfect. Like focus more on just getting out the door, being consistent. The sessions don't need to be amazing. Run more to effort. I find Strava's a really good tool for finding like you can see in a new city like where the popular places to run in terms of like trying to find a session to maybe do K reps or I often if I know athletes are traveling, I try and find sessions that are quite manageable. So, and especially if they're only traveling for a short period of time, like some hill reps, assuming the place has a hill, or some 1 minute reps, because you don't need a lot of real estate for those sort of sessions as opposed to, a massive long tempo running through a city. So, lower your expectations, focus more on consistency, run more to effort, and do manageable sessions.
Yeah, because travel brings stress.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're someone banging out 100 Ks every week and then you got to travel and try fit the train in, just adjust that to like 75, 80, because that extra stress is what that 25K takes out of you.
100%. Yeah.
But how good's running when you travel?
Best way to see a city, isn't it?
Love it. I love doing the research, planning your run out, like you said, Croaks. Get on Strava, see the best routes. Chances are the best running routes take you through the best part of the city. And you're going to get views, you're going to get the parks, you're going to go through like iconic landmarks. So like think about it. You go to let's just use America as the example. You're in LA. Oh, okay. We're running the hills, maybe up behind Hollywood. That's always going to be big on Strava. Santa Monica, Venice Beach. That's pretty good too. These are the mainstream ones but you see a lot when you do that. Then you go to San Francisco, you run over the bridge to like Marin County, or you do through around the piers or into Golden Gate Park. They're big on Strava, but they're the cool spots that you would probably go and check out even if you weren't running.
Yeah, kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Did I tell you boys the time I did a session around the Colosseum in Rome?
Did you?
Down there, down there
shocking,
about
like
no, it was at night. Yeah, it was like cobblestones, but because I reckon it was about 400 meters around. Like it wasn't that far, but it was iconic place to do a session.
Going everywhere though. What do you mean, messy?
No, because it went it was late at night. I think it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
I don't know about that, Croaks.
What's the best and worst place you've gone for a run when you've been on holidays? Putting you on the spot here. Tiergarten's pretty good in Berlin. That's
it's all right. It's not
place.
The best. We're talking the best place you've been on a run. The Tiergarten's not it.
It's close.
Grand Canyon.
Park in Valencia is pretty good. That's a good park. Tell you what's bad, Prague. Too many cobblestones. Like people just on the footpaths. That's a shocking spot for a run.
Ran the I think it's called the Path of the Gods or something in Italy down near Sorrento area. Like I think it's Positano maybe, and it's a trail that goes along the cliffs, and you get the views of the ocean. That was pretty sick. A lot of tourists out walking on a tight single track, so not great, but that was pretty awesome area.
Bali and Thailand are poor. You ever tried to run there?
Oh, nah, there's shit running there.
Yeah, terrible running. East Timor, when I went there, that was hard as well. There's just like no infrastructure to run.
What about Matty Gunther went on his honeymoon to the Maldives? You see his Strava the last week?
Nah. What's that like?
So stayed in
Look him up.
Stayed in like little villas over the water on one of those.
Yeah, see those, don't you?
Ran up and down the fucking deck every day for half an hour at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Don't you coach him? Couldn't you just give him a week off for his honeymoon?
Oh, I did give him a week off. He wanted to do this. This was his decision to do this. You got to get away from the wife at some point, sure.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, does it? Just up and down.
And like someone commented, like, "Oh, I bet all the other people loved hearing some fucking idiot running along their deck at 6 o'clock in the morning when they're on their honeymoon."
Andy Buchanan, nice loop. Just goes up and down. Yeah.
Switzerland's nice for a run. Did a session in Interlaken by this, like, you know how the rivers that come from like glacial water are that really different sort of blue. I remember doing a session, like running along this river in Interlaken. That was pretty amazing.
There's a good park in Canada. You guys been to Vancouver? Stanley Park?
Never been to
I've run
Canada.
there before.
That's a good park, yeah. I like that.
That is a good spot to run, and there's like a track in there, I think. Like, I think there is a track in there.
Got the seawall, don't you? You can go around the outside too.
Yeah, but there's trails through the middle.
Yeah.
Very
Good
nice.
spot. Anyway, that was a bit down a rabbit hole. Moose on the loose, purchase of the week. Rules of Strava. What do you got?
I had a crack.
I just want to say, before we move on, that video that's doing the rounds on Instagram at the moment that we're talking about at the very start of the show, my phone has not stopped lighting up. And like everyone goes, "You've probably seen this already, but Moose would love this." And I'm like, "Yes, we've seen it. Thank you for all the people sending it through."
Mate, I'm about to write back to one bloke and be like, "Yeah, you're number 400. Good job."
Yeah.
But I appreciate it. Just like the Peter Bowl news. My phone has never seen that sort of action on Friday night. I was coming home from, like, I was still at work and we were pretty busy, and I get one notification that's like, Peter Bowl got done for EPO, and I was like, what? And then I'm like, I have to serve the next person. I'm like, no, I have to learn about this. I have to learn what's going on. You can't just drop that on me and then I go back to work.
Do you think it would go down as one of those moments? Like, can you remember when like Princess Diana died, and you can remember where you were? Yeah, so do I.
Remember.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you think this will be like that?
No. Not at all. Not even close to that, but I love that you said.
I'll ask you in 10 years when we're up to like episode like 1423.
Oh, that's funny.
Anyway, move on to us.
Yeah, so I've just started this book. You know Steve Scott, the miler?
Yep.
I got to pull the quote up.
I've got the book, I reckon. It's got a green front cover.
Yeah, Steve Scott, the miler. I want to see the blurb on it because I know it pretty close. I know like the...
He used to race in Big Sunnies, didn't he? The miler, America's legendary runner.
Oh, you got it with you?
It's in the bookshelf. No, not here, but I just Googled it.
Yeah, I just want the blurb because he said this quote and I read it and I'm like, I fucking love that. It's something like, I haven't read the book, to be honest, so I can't tell you much. I've read about 5 pages. But the blurb, it said something like, I do countless amounts of sprints and then I run 20 miles. I know that I'm going to hurt in races, so I train in pain all the time, or something along those lines. And it got me thinking, and I'm like, everything that I see at the moment on Twitter, Facebook, all the coaches out there that think they're fucking geniuses, everyone's telling you how to recover better. Whereas the old athletes, they're telling you, no, you've got to fucking hurt harder. You've got to train and practice being in pain, simulating races. You've got to put yourself to the sword and feel what it's like and decide if you want to be there or not. And you've got to callous yourself to that pain. Yet if you go and look at these new wave of coaches, they're like, oh no, you better not do that. We better sleep more, or we better recover more, or we do this or we do that, and we don't actually train harder. And every single old school book that I read whether it's Co, Ovet, like the best of like the older school one, Charlie Spedding and Buddy Edelin. These guys just trained really, really hard. Bill Rogers, the same. Frank Shorter. The books, no one dances around the fact that these guys were out there, and a lot of the time they might be doing reps that were outside the fucking pace range that they probably should have been. But they loved it, and they thought, this is what I need. I need to train harder, and they got better because of it. And I'm just reading this book like, you know what? I need to probably do some harder shit right now. Every time I go for a run, I think, oh, recover better. Don't leave your heart rate zone. Oh, you better run flat today. That's not the fucking attitude that we should be going into hard training with. Always trying to take the gentle, soft option. I think we've just got in a habit of doing that. I think sometimes we need to approach a session and be like, you know what, I'm going to stay with that guy in front of me. The guy that's 10 seconds faster over 5K, I'm going to fucking dust him today. Or on a long run, at the 20K mark, get to a hill and think, yep, I'm testing it today. I'm going up this hill as hard as I fucking can. I'm going to burn some blokes or some girls. Like, we're going to make this long run hard. From now on to the finish, I'm going to push it a bit. What do you guys think about that?
I think there's time and place. You can't be
you're one of these fucking soft cokes. I reckon you are.
I explained my week about I had that extra gear to go with Archie, and I'm like, this is not the time and place to do it when I'm rebuilding fitness. But I agree. I've done monofartleks 10 days out from a 10K race going, we're going to feel hurt today because you're going to feel it in 10 days' time. And there's long runs where you've got to be time on your feet, and there's other ones where you get rolling and you start clipping along okay. But you can't go doing what you're saying every workout, every long run. That's where people get injured, and it's not sustainable. And these guys writing the books, they're the ones that make it. There might be 20 other guys who are trying to do training like that end up broken and aren't writing books.
It's a good point. It's a good point that you make. They make it. But do you want to be someone who makes it?
Mate, I've got 2 stall sashes in my shed. I've already made it.
Do you want to be the guy who runs 2:19, sits at home and goes, I better not go over my heart rate today?
But why not even wear a heart rate monitor? But you know what I mean. There's times to push and there's times to not push.
I know. I think you need to recognise that that's important. But then also, like jogging on easy days is a consistent factor within these groups. Like most of them jog pretty easy, but there's also this little thing that keeps popping up. It's like, yeah, we fucking went hard today. I was cooked, and it worked, and like I got better from it.
I'm going to remind you of this chat, Moose, next time you have a go at me about my Sunday long run
pace. Coach's been doing this for 5 years.
Perfect example, yeah. Maybe I'm a bit old school. I haven't made it, but I've got old school mentality.
Mate, you've been doing fucking treadmill thresholds. I think you've changed too.
Well, you got in my head. I was sick of you giving me shit every Sunday about my long run.
What about I think I'm going to use MTC as an example. Melbourne Track Club. They got Jack Rayner. They got Rose Davies. Well, not sort of Rose Davies, right? Scott Westcott coached. They've got Rayner, Brett Robinson, Sinead Diver. They train hard. Like, you talk about the Waverley sessions they do on Tuesdays. Like on Thursday or Tuesday, whatever you do. They're pretty difficult sessions. Then they go to Wattle Park and it's a really hard hill workout. And their thresholds aren't like easy. They do like 30-minute plus thresholds that are continuous. They don't break them up into intervals. Like, those guys train pretty hard. And great example, yes, some don't make it. Some fall off and can't keep up, or they get in continual injuries. And let's use, like, perfect example. You got Joel Tobin White, gets injured a lot, can't really handle that type of approach. Maybe will never make it like his training partner, Brett Robinson, housemate, podcast host, obviously responds really well to it with his success over both, well, in all distances really, but especially the marathon and the half marathon.
I look at it the other way, though, with some of those guys, Moose, in that you look at how fast they're doing their 30-minute threshold compared to what they race a half marathon at, and it's actually compared to probably the average person pretty controlled.
Yeah, the threshold's the easier bit. I think a lot of the week.
Yeah, whereas I think a lot of people though do thresholds and they finish them, and it almost feels like a race effort. Whereas these guys are doing it like 6-7 seconds a K slower than their half marathon pace.
Yeah, and also in the Tuesday sessions, the fastest guys often stay with the second pack guys. So perhaps not the best example is the most successful crew there are actually training with those that are less successful who are having to keep up with them. So maybe not the best example. However, I still I stand by it. I stand by that sometimes we need to get out of the thinking of babying everybody.
You're talking about professional athletes, though. Like 99% of our listeners have got families and going to work and don't have the same recovery time those guys have either. Like, if you want to be sustainable in the sport and enjoy it and not be tired, do not do what Moose has just explained.
I can't wait for the next month. We had all these messages, Brady, saying, "Oh, listen to episode 273," and I got up and about I got up and about after Moose on the loose, and just letting you know I'm busted.
Yeah, all these 40-minute 10K guys are doing their long run at 350 pace this weekend.
I'm here to present a different point of view, and a point of view that's provided a lot of success for people in the past. However, these are old men talking in these books. And everyone knows them. That's right. It's pre-GPS. Yep, exactly.
When their 10-mile runs were actually 10K.
Yep, and the 400s become, instead of 62s, sub 60 every rep, no worries. I would do this 30K run over the hills, and I was finishing in 3:10s. Were you though? So, yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm just throwing it out there. I reckon that sometimes we need to harden up a little bit. And our entire focus of what we're doing shouldn't be around recovery and keeping injury free. Like, I think we've got a little too obsessed with that. And we need to sometimes shift our gaze a little higher.
Just push the envelope a bit now and then, you reckon.
One person you haven't mentioned in this chat who, like, this is to a T. Derek Clayton. He trained hard. He wasn't afraid of an injury.
No, his surgeon knows that quite well.
Yeah.
He's got like 9 surgeries or something.
But look how far ahead of his time he was.
Yeah. And his training logs are scary. Like, he's going to... And that's a man that... Brady.
Yeah.
This man went to work every day.
True.
Every day. Long hours. He was working a shitload. And then he would finish off and go out and run like a 10-mile run in 53 minutes every night.
You make some valid points, Moose, but it's very much against what you have been saying for the last sort of 5 years. But, yeah.
I know, but I'm just trying to stir the pot a little bit.
It's a good conversation. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
The listeners will get a bit out of it. And I like it. It makes me feel good to finish a long run knowing that I pushed it.
Can somebody record that bit and just send it back to Moose? I love pushing a long run and feeling like I've worked.
But it goes back to listening to your body, though. On the days where you feel like you got that bit of pop in your legs, you can push it and just don't even look at your K-splits.
Yep, experience
but
helps
not forcing it. You're not forcing it. Sometimes my people write in, people I coach go, I went a bit quick today on this or that. I'm like, as long as you're not forcing that, I'm all good if you're skipping along a bit quicker. But it's when you're chasing a pace on your watch and you're going, I want to average 4:10s. No, that's not good.
Yeah, that isn't good. I'll pay that. But inexperienced runners need more direction. They shouldn't be given this sort of license that an experienced runner should be given.
Yep. Good chat. What's coming up, boys? Croaks, what are you doing? You're going back to work, doing some sessions, getting ready for Bathurst.
Yeah, it's ACT champs this weekend, so I might go out and watch. We'll see.
Jeez, he's really getting everywhere, isn't he, Moose?
He's a man of the people now.
Gets down to back.
I was trying to be more social this year.
Dude, you just got to relax, though. It's got to be consistently. You can't tick it all off in Jan and then do nothing for the next 11 months.
I'll be burnt out by March.
Yeah. Moose, what are you doing?
I've got country champs in Geelong this week. So I'm going down with a marquee for Thursday, Australia Day, so one-on-one appointments, if a few left if you want. And then Friday going down with the marquee, going to sell spikes down at the track all Friday, all Saturday. So long day down at Landy Field. If you're Bendigo people there.
Moose, I've seen you advertise those one-on-one appointments for about 6 weeks now. You're saying there's still some available?
Well,
I don't believe that. I thought it would be like a bloody Elton John concert, gone in 30 minutes.
I don't work much. I've only got 4 spots, and there's only 3 people who have taken it. So there's 1 spot left. But there's the country champs have 900 entrants, Brady.
Oh, do they? Yeah, that's good.
900.
Who's going to win the 5K?
Oh, no.
People love the Vic Country Champs.
Jamie Cook would be going for title number 15, I reckon.
I reckon they're getting a lot of people, Metro people now as
40%.
well.
40%.
Oh, is it? Okay, yeah. Who just like, we want to race. Like, oh, there's this race on, we can do it.
Yeah, it's on Thursday night, the 5K.
Oh, is it Thursday?
Yeah. So it's on the January 26th evening, which is the public holiday.
Traditionally, it was on the Friday night, then the 15th.
Yeah.
Remember, I did it last year, 5 and the 15th.
No, I don't remember.
Gold and silver. Got to hand over that title to someone this year. Hope it is the beast, Jamie Cook. He's running well. Broke the park run record in Bendigo on Saturday morning. 15:30 or something. I think he ran on a pretty tough course.
He's a Hall of Famer at the country champs, mate.
Got a few medals, yeah. I don't know if the Bendigo boys are travelling down to Geelong though this year. Could be a local winning it, yeah. Not sure.
Yeah, we got Lockie Doak in there. He ain't going to win it. Fuck, I hope he doesn't. That is a sad day for the country champs if Lockie Doak. Sorry, Lockie. Like, I love you, but it's a sad day if you're winning the country champs.
I'm moving on. Caitlin Adams interview, boys. Talked to her last Friday, I think. So, like, just a bit, maybe 5 days after she secured her singlet, her bib, her whatever spot on the Australian team for the World Cross Country Champs. Lovely person. Hadn't met Caitlin before. She did say she'd run with you down there, Moose, in Anglesea.
I dropped her on a long run. Dropped her.
She said that, I think, off air, maybe. Not sure. Not sure if you know her, Croaks. Not a big fan of you after you called her inconsistent last week. She was throwing some lip at you off air, which is always good when people do that.
That's a sign of a good person if they lip off Croaks.
I said she was very good. On her day, she can beat anyone.
Yeah, she's running well at the moment. 8:55 PB for 3, 15:29 for 5, 32:27 on the road for 10. Interesting. She's in an interesting situation because she's kind of qualified for this World Cross team. She qualified in 2019 as well, but the jump now to try and get to a World Champs track and field or an Olympics is it's within reach. You wouldn't be surprised if she makes that jump, but it was just kind of interesting talking to her about how she possibly goes about that and the importance of chasing points. Her goals and what she does.
She ran at Denmark, Brady?
Yeah, she did. Yep.
What'd she come?
She wasn't that good at Denmark. I do say we speak about it, and she was a bit disappointed about it because she
Over
did
100 or under 100?
She was 69th actually. I do remember that.
69.
Yep, but she was the 6th Australian after coming second at the trials. So we spoke about like what she's going to learn from that to make sure she implements her. I think she was. Yeah, she talks about her goals. Can't remember off the top of my head, but I think she was talking. An A+ day would be top 30. But yeah, lovely person. It was great to meet her. Great to chat with her. Hopefully, listeners get a bit out of this, and then if they get to Bathurst, they know a bit about her on the course and can give her a big cheer in the Australian kit. Let's wrap it up, boys. Do it all again next week.
Have a good week.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Won't you come and take a walk in my shoes and tell me if you take my place?
All right. This week's guest on the Inside Running podcast last weekend booked her ticket to the World Cross Country Championships by finishing third at the Australian Cross Country World Championship Trials. She's a winner of the Burnie 10K, the Noosa Bolt and the Melbourne Marathon 10K on the roads. Welcome to the Inside Running podcast, Caitlin Adams.
Thanks for having me, Brady.
Thanks for coming on. Short notice, Caitlin. I'll let the listeners know. I think I messaged you yesterday on a Thursday, and on a Friday we're kind of having this conversation. So thanks for coming on so close after the World Cross Country Trials. You must be stoked with that result last weekend.
Yeah, I'm really happy with it. That race has just been something that's been on my mind essentially since I made the team in 2019, and the last 2 years it's really ramped up. Obviously, it was postponed a couple of times because of COVID, but it's been like the major goal. And I sort of went into that race going, far out, this field is incredible. Like the women that I'm running against, this will probably never happen again. It's quite amazing. But in my mind, I was pretty confident. Like I had that top 3 goal, and I just knew that I don't know, I probably wouldn't have told many people, but deep down I was like, I think, like, I'm so motivated. I know that I'm going to get this automatic spot, but you just never know. Like I said, the girls that are running out there are just high class, and they've been to world championships, Olympics, so forth. So it's really been nice this week to just like reflect on actually having ticked that off and really think to myself, wow, I actually made that work, and I can just look forward to going to Bathurst and get my family and friends there, which would be awesome.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, like you didn't tell too many people about it. And I think I've heard people comment that it was a bit of a surprise that you were, I think people probably thought maybe the 3 through to 6, you might have been a bit further, the 4 through to 6. But when you look at the stuff you've done over cross country, like you were second Australian at the trials in 2019, you've been to a world cross country champs before. I think you were second and third at a national cross. Like obviously you're good at cross country, and you backed yourself going in there.
Yeah, and I kind of liked it that way, that I was a little bit more of an underdog in other people's eyes, and I should be as well. Like I said, the women that were running have done a lot more than I have ever done, so we have to respect that. But I just trust myself on a cross-country course. I'm a bit more of a grittier sort of aerobic type athlete, and I know that I really enjoyed the Stromlo course last time. It's just really easy under the foot. You don't sort of have to worry about where your footing is. I knew that I wanted to go pretty hard from the gun, or sort of control the race a bit. I find that my best results often come from when I'm a bit gutsier with my race plan and go to the front, and I can sort of take whatever line I want to and push the pace and try and sort of break up the pack. Whereas some races, I mean, Zatopek obviously wasn't a good result for me at all, but when I tend to sit back and let it play into other people's hands, I just get a bit lost and detached from the pack. So I was really happy with how I went about it. I just left nothing to chance, and I would have been, pretty happy to do that and give it everything. And if I just missed out of the team, at least I would have been happy with the way I ran it. But I'm really stoked that it actually resulted in an automatic position.
Yeah, and it just looked like such an aggressive race. Like you spent some time at the front. When Rose was at the front, it just looked like she was trying to drop people around every single corner. And then it kind of strung out a bit, and you almost all held your same positions. And then I was watching the drone footage at home, like around that last bend, you could see Izzy kind of getting closer and closer to you, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be... And then they kind of cut away, and we didn't see it until we actually hit the line. But you must have found another gear in that last 100, 200 metres to really lock away that automatic spot, because I think people looking at that footage might have thought that Izzy would come straight over the top of you in that last couple of 100 metres.
Yeah, I certainly was worried about that as well. I think I had a lot of my friends and family at home pacing around the living room watching that footage. I knew that people behind me were definitely coming, and I was trying my hardest to really ramp up that last kilometre. And you sort of have those switchback turns, and it sort of gradually climbs the last kilometre. So it's pretty tough, tougher than what it looks like. So I was really trying to focus on Leanne, because I think about 1.5 km to go, I sort of found myself bridging the gap towards Leanne, like not getting too close, but definitely closer. And I thought to myself, like, I need to focus on her in front, because if I'm worried about what's going on behind me, I don't think that necessarily results in getting the best out of you. Whereas if I'm chasing someone, it's going to feel better. You're going to get a little bit more out of yourself. That was what I was thinking mentally anyway. So I just tried to focus on Leanne as much as I could. And then with about 300 to go, I heard Isaac Hayne. So he's my teammate and my housemate, and he was cheering for me. He's so loud and boisterous, which is awesome. But when I heard him in the final, sort of 400, 300, the tone in his voice, I thought, okay, yeah, this is serious.
There's a bit of urgency there.
Yeah, when he was screaming at me, I'm like, I need to really ramp this up. And then I sort of had a quick look behind me. I know you're not really meant to do that when you're racing, just eyes on the prize, eyes in front, but I did sort of have a bit of a turn and a glance behind me, and I saw Izzy just rearing behind me there, which kind of terrified me a little bit. So I can't even remember the last 200 meters. I was just focused on that finish line, and I don't know if the footage showed, but I just crossed it and collapsed to the ground, the enormity of the the whole result and completely putting everything on the line there.
It kind of looked like everyone did as well. I think, when Izzy came over, she hit the deck and Ali was on the ground as well in sixth spot there. Which is just, I was comparing the times to when you came second Australian. Charlotte Purdue won it, but you were second behind Melissa Duncan in 2019. You ran 35.00 that day, and then you ran 33.46, same course, same distance, a minute 14 quicker. So it just shows the quality of people who showed up this time, and the style of racing, I guess, when it was aggressive from the gun.
Yeah, absolutely. I was pretty shocked by that stat as well. It wasn't until a couple of days after I thought, I'm actually going to compare this just out of curiosity. So it's amazing, the level that, us females have jumped to in the last couple of years and what it takes to actually make an Australian team now.
So you had this week pretty relaxed, tickets booked, uniforms getting measured up, all the other things. We're still waiting. It's Friday 1 p.m. and we haven't heard who the other three are yet, but hopefully we'll hear that soon. And then how excited are you about a home world cross country? You got to do it in 2019 in Denmark, and now it's 2022 Australia, or 23. Sorry, I'm still on 2022 years.
Yeah, super stoked. This was probably the main reason why this race was so big in my head. And, my coach Adam and I had really put an asterisk against this race for so many years. It was the main goal. And that was probably because we're not really going to get this opportunity again. I know we've got Brisbane Olympics in a few years in Australia, but in terms of a world championships and a cross country, which is, I think, really blue collar and everyone gets around it. It's a great spectator sport. This won't happen again. And so I was like, I need to be on this Australian team. I'm going to do everything that I can, no excuses. So it's probably why I was just so tunnel vision on the weekend. So yeah, it's really great to be able to just start training now and looking forward to that event. And we know that the course is going to be, 10 times harder than what Stromlo is, and it's going to be a little bit awkward underfoot. So training definitely Adam hasn't given me much of a rest this week. It's just really straight into it. We need to hit this hard and be ready for a result that I can be proud of.
Yeah, take us back to so the Zatopek result. I think you said you were a bit disappointed. The 7th place there, 33.18. What did you guys do in training then to shift the confidence? Because a lot of those girls who you were racing with in the lead pack were, fair way in front of you at that night. And then you've come out and, shifted that confidence. What have you done in training to get on this start line knowing that you can go head-to-head with them?
Yeah, I mean, leading into Zatopek, I was definitely feeling pretty confident. I had some great results in the second half of 2022, including that Melbourne 10K, National Cross, City to Bay second, and then winning Noosa Bolt and sort of really putting my hat in the ring and going head-to-head with some of those top women. So I was really confident going into Zatopek. I did unfortunately get COVID for the second time after Noosa, so that was from Noosa, and then I was a bit worried about that, but essentially after I recovered, I was back into training and almost had gone to a new level, so that was really surprising. So between Noosa and Zatopek, I had a really great training block and had some really good training partners out with the group, and things were looking pretty positive. But yeah, I'm not too sure what happened with Zatopek. I did sort of go into that week feeling a little bit off, and I didn't know if it was just nerves or me sort of putting a lot of pressure on myself, but I did feel like I was getting slightly sick going in. I started to, my sinuses and throat were a bit sore, and I thought, I don't know, is this a COVID thing where you're more susceptible to getting sick in the first, month after it? So I was a bit worried about that, and then the race was going on and I just didn't feel in control. I didn't feel like I could match any moves or finish strong. I just felt sloppy, really, and I don't really have an excuse for that. And unfortunately, 10K for me sort of feels a bit like a beast that I haven't been able to overcome yet on the track. On the road, I love it, and I love getting in with big packs of men and just again, running any line on the road and feeling really fast. But unfortunately, 10K on the track for me has been a bit more of a challenge, maybe mental now, because I haven't really nailed one and I find the laps a bit intimidating. So I think this year, before we go into Zatopek again, I really almost need to do if it's just a state champs 10K on the track and just sort of the monkeys on my back a bit, just get that off and go in with a bit more confidence. So after that race, I just knew it wasn't a reflection of how training had been going and how I felt like I'd gone to a new level. So it was pretty easy to just like be disappointed, but forget about it in a way, because I didn't want it to impact my confidence for Worlds. I was sort of thinking, I know I'm a different athlete. That was just an outlier of a race. So I need to just like forget about it. And then I actually had some really good sessions. I've been training with Jess a fair bit, and we've been doing a lot of, long fartleks together, ranging between sort of 8 to 10 Ks. And then we have a bit of a staple session along the North Adelaide streets, which is this a lot of rolling hills sort of course, and Adam gets us to do like a threshold or some sort of fartlek tempo, about 10 Ks of work there, and I'd had some really good sessions. So I knew that I was pretty confident on the roads and over hills, and especially if the hills were a little bit spicy or had a bit of a pinch, I was feeling really strong and maintaining my pace there. So there had just been some really long sessions leading into the World Cross Trials that I was really happy with, and again, like sort of training had gone to another level. So I was pretty happy to forget Zatopek and just back myself in from the training that I'd done in the 4 weeks between the two races.
Yeah, well, that shows the maturity though, because like you're right, everything around it was amazing. Like especially the Melbourne 10K. I remember, I think we had Matt Clark at our live show after the Melbourne Marathon that day, and kind of bringing you up as an example, because you beat some pretty handy athletes that day as well. And that's not a fast course. And it was a 32:27, nearly a minute quicker than what you've run on the track. And I remember, saying to him, I'm like, this is, someone to obviously watch here. And let's just, we'll blame the sickness, I reckon, on Zatopek, and then not worry about that. Croaks and I did have a discussion about this morning, because he called you inconsistent last week on the show, whereas I just think you've had a few outliers here and there. And maybe
I did hear that, and I thought my mission is to
I thought it was harsh,
to prevent that.
Harsh. I'm like, look at all the other results she's had. But Croak's a bit of an angry old man that lives up in Canberra, so we've got to...
And recency bias. It's unfortunate that was one of my latest results, so hopefully we'll just keep moving past that.
Don't worry about that. Do some long track workouts before next Zatopek, maybe some 20 lappers or something like that. I'm sure Adam, he's one of the smartest coaches getting around. I'm sure he'll have something sorted so that doesn't happen again over the track 10K. But,
definitely.
He'll have some prep stuff there as well. But the training, give me some details. You kind of touched on the tempos and the fartleks and stuff over hills, but what does it look like? I think you did a workout this morning. So are you guys a Tuesday, Friday workout group with a long run Sunday? Or what's a Monday through to Sunday look like?
Yeah, so over COVID, previous to that, previous to 2020, we were a 3-session-a-week group with a long run, so you Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. But then we sort of adjusted it because, with COVID, you weren't certain on any races or what was going to happen. So we sort of pulled it back just to minimise sort of injury risk and overtraining. And we sort of realised that people are actually responding really well to the 2 sessions, and we were able to increase the mileage within those 2 sessions, rather than it being sort of 3 small, 6 to 8 kilometre in total of work. We could increase it to sort of that 10, if not more, kilometre, work in that session. So from that point, we have our main training sessions on a Tuesday night and a Friday morning. And if you have school or work or whatever it is, my partner, Lokir, is also one of the coaches at Team Tempo. So he coaches a bunch of athletes that help me out in training, and they will go out on a Thursday night as well. And then we'll have our long run on the Sunday, which we'll do with the group. So if I go from Monday, I usually do about a 60-minute run in the morning and 30 minutes in the afternoon. And then gym, if I make it down to gym, because it can be pretty hard with school. The school that I work at is in the opposite direction. So I try to get some gym in on the Monday. And then Tuesday, I'll do a 30-minute double run in the morning. And then at night, we'll go to McKinnon Parade, which is a pretty popular running spot in Adelaide. It's kind of like the equivalent to Melbourne's The Tan, about 2.2 kilometres on a fairly sort of flat, grated path.
That's the one with all the photos. Whenever I see Team Tempo training in a park setting, that's the Instagram location. That would be the one? Yeah. Okay,
yeah, definitely.
Gotcha. Yeah. Big shady trees and stuff.
Yeah. It's an awesome location, and it's pretty central, and also recently they've added a grass track on one of the infields there. So it's pretty awesome, like depending on our middle distances or middle distance athletes up to sort of marathon, you can do lots of different training sessions there and everyone's in the one location. So Tuesday nights will be sort of your typical like 8 by a K or long reps mixed with short reps. I really love the 8 by a K session. That's probably like a favourite of mine, or mile reps, whatever it may be.
Off 60 or 90 seconds, what do you do for recovery off the Ks?
It does vary. Adam does like a sort of fartlecky type session with kilometres. So, for example, every second kilometre rep might be like a 400 off, 400 on sort of style. Yep. Or if it's just flat out K reps, it might be like 90 seconds recovery. And often, we all hate it, but often he gets us to jog back to the start. So it feels like a bit of a continuous effort, because you no sooner sort of finish the kilometre rep and then you're jogging for about 200 metres to get back to the starting point and go again. So I usually like to do those between sort of 3:05 to 3:15, depending on if he wants them to be more threshold or sort of push it a bit. So lately I've found that they've been, I've been really loving them and sort of going sort of 3:10 average or quicker, which has been good.
So like in between, for the listeners, like in between a 5K and 10K kind of effort in the middle there, like if you were to race a 7K kind of intensity.
Yeah. And then, we might do some like 200 reps or 400 reps or something after. So Wednesday will be just a 90-minute run, midweek long run, and usually that's when I put you guys in my ears.
And is that morning or afternoon?
Well, when I'm working, it'll be in the afternoon, and we'll usually go as a household. So, like I said, I live with Isaac and my partner Lokir Scott. We like to get out together and just do like an easy sort of recovery run, because we're usually all pretty sore from the session. But in the holidays, it's been good getting out and getting that done in the morning.
Yeah, and you're pretty chilled out with pace on that one off the back of the workout, or you get moving a bit?
Pretty chilled out with pace. Like we'll usually start pretty slow, like closer to your sort of 5 minute per K, and then we'll move it down to like 4:30s. But especially when we're working and having like a harder sort of session the night before, like the Tuesday night, like I said, it'll probably be 8 to 10 kilometers of work. We just take it pretty cruisy rather than pull up sore for the end of the week. I
love that.
Thursday will be like similar to my Monday. It'll just be sort of 50-30 or 60-30, so morning and afternoon runs. That's usually one of my easier days. And then Friday morning we'll be back out at McKinnon. We've actually had a track upgrade in Adelaide, so maybe that was another reason for Zatopek as well. I got on the track once between June and the Zatopek race because it's been relayed. So we are now implementing more track work. Like every second Tuesday we're getting out on the track. Because we've been focusing on Zatopek and World Cross, I've just been doing like really high mileage based sessions. So Friday morning will be those sessions, like the long sort of fartleks around McKinnon Parade or on those sort of rolling hills in North Adelaide.
I reckon there's something in that for sure. Like where I live, we've only got a grass track, and I think it's like you can put the spikes on the grass track, but it just doesn't give you the same stimulus as the synthetic track. And I think then you get to the all-weather ones, and it's just the calves and everything just feels harder and tighter, and especially when you're using the super shoes on the other days of the week. I think you almost need to practice on the synthetic tracks before you're racing on them a bit more these days.
Definitely. And it's, like I said, for me, it's that mental just like ticking off laps as well. Like I can go out around like a loop, 2K loop, and it's fine. But when you get on the track, you really need to sort of focus on the pace, because you slow down a little bit and suddenly that's, 4 seconds or whatever it may be. So Friday we'll do that. This morning I had a pretty big session, so I did about 11.5 Ks of work. So as I said, no rest. Adam sort of got me to do like a 5K tempo threshold with Max Stevens. He jumped in with me for that. And then I did 3 by a K between about 3:11 and 3:13 pace. and then 4x400. And the Ks and the 400s were on the grass track, and the 400s were about 71 to 73. So nothing too spectacular, still sort of feeling the race a little bit in the legs, but I was pretty happy to get that done. It was a lot of volume.
Yeah.
And then I'll do a double run this afternoon, so another 30 minutes. Saturdays usually are easy rest days, so depending on how I feel from the week, I'll do about 30 minutes to sort of an hour, and then have the afternoon off. And then Sunday is our long run, so we'll meet as a group. Usually in summer we're sort of pretty consistently doing a city loop because it's nice and flat and most people are racing. But in the winter we like to get out to Kaipo Forest or Belair, so some of the hilly sort of areas in and around Adelaide, and really nice underfoot, sort of almost looks like that sort of Flagstaff sort of feel with the big pine trees and that sort of thing. So yeah, 2022 I started doing 2-hour long runs. So as long as I'm feeling good, I'll try and get the 2 hours out. If not, I'll do about 140 to 145.
Yeah. And is there intention around the pace on the Sunday? Like, you know, with the Wednesday, you're kind of coming off the workout, just get 90 minutes in the legs, or like do you guys skip along a bit more on the Sunday?
Yeah, we tend to push it a little bit more. That just sort of happens naturally. Like Adam doesn't specify any sort of pacing or anything, but it probably is always averaging quicker than 420s. Sometimes we do have a bit of a scheduled sort of pickup or tempo at the end of a long run. Haven't had that for a while, but yeah, naturally we will sort of get moving a little bit.
Yeah, and this Tuesday just gone off the back of the Sunday race, did you still work out or was that just still recovery time?
I was still a bit sore, so I just did a 60-minute progressive run. So Jess came along with that one for me, and we just sort of got down to about 340s, 350s, nothing too crazy. I was pretty sore. It was only 2 days after the after the race, so yeah, I was pretty happy to just roll the legs out.
Which would explain why today was a bit bigger, like a bit of extra time to recover off the race and then load up the Friday. It's a big week. That must be, 150, 160 Ks?
It works out to be, I don't know why, but it's more like 130 to 135.
Maybe it's a chill jogging. That's probably a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I am definitely more of a chill jogger, especially if it's morning and it's 6 a.m. before work. I'm not pushing the pace at all. So like we said, that Wednesday run, if we're feeling sore and we're off the back of work, it's not really worried too much about the pace. It's just getting it done. So yeah, I've been pretty consistent with my weeks the last sort of couple months. It has been up in that 135 mark pretty consistently, but I would like to in the future bump that up because I haven't had any major injuries, and I'm sort of thinking, well, why not? Let's get some high mileage going, and I seem to respond really well to more aerobic work.
Yeah, and the doubles you take pretty easy as well. Like that's half an hour at close to 5 minute and 4 minute pace.
Yeah, so probably about 6.5 Ks.
Yeah,
all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's smart and sustainable as well. It sounds like you could just string a year, 2 years, 3 years of that together with, as you said, like avoiding injury. Let's go back to 2019 Denmark. So you qualified for the World Cross Country Champs by coming second, Australian, but then you were sixth in 69th position at the World Champs. Hilly course. It looked amazing, actually, spectacle-wise on the coverage, but it was pretty tough, wasn't it?
Yeah, again, that's probably up there with one of my more poor results. Unfortunately, you don't want to do that when you are sort of repping the green and gold and everyone's watching you and getting around you. So that was a bit of a shame, but I think it was sort of a major breakthrough for me. Like I wasn't a good junior by any means. Like I was running the under 23K at Zatopek and finishing second to last every single year, and just sort of loving running, just loving being involved and participating, but certainly not on anyone's radar. And then between sort of 2017 and 2018, the consistent years just paid off, and I made a bit of a jump and a leap in terms of my personal bests and maybe getting on people's radars a little bit more in terms of being able to sort of challenge some positions in national races. And so that 2019 trial was just sort of out of the blue. Like I wasn't expecting it. I knew I was going in fit and ready, but really wasn't expecting the second position and the automatic spot. And I think probably that World Champs over in Denmark was just a result of everything being a bit overwhelming, and the course was just the hardest thing ever. It was muddy. It was we were running through pools of water. Then you were running up the side of a building, and it was really tough.
Sand patches.
There was sand, yeah. So I mean, I thought that we prepared pretty well for it, but obviously something went wrong there. So definitely going to rectify that this time around.
Yeah. So what about not so much the running preparation, but the mental preparation? Like, what do you take from Denmark that you can implement for Bathurst? Like, because the pressure is going to be way higher.
Yeah,
like you're gonna have. I'm sure you got bus loads. Do you drive from Adelaide or you fly? I'm not sure what's the easiest way from there, but I'm sure there's going to be a stack of friends and family on the sidelines this time compared to Denmark, and the expectations go up another level because it's the second time around. So, like, what things do you look at and go, I need to modify that from last time, or think about this differently?
Yeah, so I think back in 2019, I probably went out a little bit too hard. I think this time around, I'm really going to pace myself in the beginning, knowing that the course is going to be quite tough, and work with the other Aussie girls as well. I think it will be good to just, have some familiar athletes around and work together, and then try and hit that last 5Ks pretty hard and just sort of build through the race rather than try and go like a bullet a gate from the start and then tend to blow up. So I do want to take it a bit more conservatively and then come home really strong, because, in that race in Denmark, people were coming home really strong and gaining 20 positions. It's pretty easy to do that because everyone was feeling it late. So I think that'll be a strategy that I'll take into to Bathurst.
Have you had a look at the course at all? Like, I've just seen the images and the little map they've got going with the boomerang and the Bondi Beach section, and I think there's a crocodile section there as well. Like, have you had any intel yet about what the footing's going to look like, or where the hills are, or the elevation gain, or anything like that?
No, I haven't seen anything yet. I've just seen the photos, so I'm sure once we know more about the course, Adam will have a pretty clear plan on what our tactics will be. But yeah, we're certainly going to be getting out onto some cross-country loops in Adelaide and getting the spikes on and just doing as much prep as we can. Did
you want to race the trials there? Like, I thought it was a missed opportunity given just how hard world cross-country courses are. Like, to get one run on it before the actual race, I think would have been a valuable experience.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I do really like the Stromlo course because I have done quite well on it in the past, but in terms of preparation, I understand why they didn't hold it at Bathurst in terms of the cost and the logistics and getting there, but it would have been awesome to do it and just to know what we're in for and what sort of parts of the course we need to focus on, just like a bit of a dress rehearsal. So yeah, it's a shame that we didn't get to do that for the trial.
Yeah, I'm sure the documentation you get given, though, will be much better than the other countries. And, like, with the other countries, do you get intimidated by some of the, like, they say it's the hardest race in the world, like, and you're the one on the start line. Like, there's going to be, like, G'day said she's coming. We're talking about a low 14-minute lady, a 2:16 marathoner. Like, do you look at some of these names on the start list and think, oh, this is the same start line, or is it more like it's an opportunity to beat some of these people? Yeah, a bit of both. Like, definitely pretty intimidated, but also sort of starstruck as well that we are going to be on the same start line together. But also just try and, get some scalps. I think even though my race was pretty bad in 2019, I did beat Courtney Frerick. So that's the one time we've raced each other. We're 1-0, so I'll take that. But yeah, no, I think it's just going to be awesome to have them there, and I'll be super excited to have them in my company. So, but yeah, definitely kind of intimidating, but we'll try not to worry about what they're doing and stick to the race plan. Yeah. Do you have a position goal? Like, have you got something written somewhere and you're like, okay, this is where I think I should be coming in? I mean, ideally, I'd love to be getting that top 30 position. I think that it's definitely within my reach. So, I'd be happy. I feel like a B plus would be like a, maybe a top 40, top 35, and then sort of that A would be top 30, top 25, and then A plus would be top 20. So yeah, I think top 30 will be the goal. And like, people you look up to who could be potentially in the race, like, have you got one or two that you're like, I hope that person comes to race? It could be from any country, like most of the teams haven't picked their full squad yet, but like, are you thinking, oh, I'd love to be on the start line or get to shake hands with this person after the race? Have you got any favourites out there who you could potentially be racing with? I do. I love watching, well, our whole household really likes watching the Eurocross. And is it Caroline Grodvall? She's just, Norwegian. The Norwegian, just the way she goes about cross races, she's just unbeatable. And she doesn't matter who rocks up. She
she steps on the line and she has her race plan and just pushes from the gun. So I really respect the way that she races. So it'd be awesome to see her come over, because I think she could be one to really like battle it out with, you know, some of those big names like G'day. But yeah, definitely just a lot of the names that I saw on the Eurocross list, some of the girls I've raced in the US last year, some of the girls from Ireland, and, you know, some Great Britain girls as well, who I think are, you know, around the mark, similar to me. It'd be awesome to sort of see them out there and use them as a bit of a barometer to try and stick with them and get some scouts.
That's a good answer. We've got a whole lot of Norwegian listeners, so they will love hearing that one of your people you're looking up to is a Norwegian. Take me back to the Caitlin that was just scraping into like national races and finishing near the back. Like, how did you first get into the sport? And then you kind of explained that the consistency is, you know, what's made you into one of the best runners in the country. But take me back to those earlier days. Like, what age did you start?
So I'm from the country about 2 hours away from Adelaide on the Yorke Peninsula. So my family still lives there, and I guess there's not much to do there apart from participate in sports. So I was always really big on my netball, tennis, basketball, but through high school, even primary school, I did the long distance events at sports days and sort of realised that this was something that, you know, came quite naturally to me. And then at the start of high school, I was invited to compete in an inter-school competition in Adelaide, and then from that, Athletics South Australia invited a couple of the first and second place getters to then go to this workshop or like weekend camp in Adelaide and meet some high profile sort of coaches and, you know, dietitians, goal setting gurus, all of that sort of thing, just to try and sort of get you into the sport and progress you. And that's where I actually met Adam Didyk. So it was after, you know, year 8, a race that I did at interschool, met him and sort of just decided, like, I don't have a coach. I might as well see what we can do here and get a bit of a correspondence plan going. So he coached me all through high school, and I stayed in the country until year 12, and then moved down to Adelaide in 2016 and was pretty fortunate to move in with Jess Stenson and her partner Dylan. So they had a house in North Adelaide, and I came on board as, I guess, the little child, it felt like.
Housemate, but yeah.
Housemate. And that was when Jess was preparing for the 2016 Rio Olympics. So it was awesome to see how she went about things and do some runs with her. And I really learnt a lot from that experience. And I had some success in high school. Like, I did manage to make the school's cross-country team that went to Israel in 2014. So that was another one of those races where I probably wasn't meant to make it, and I did, and that was a really cool experience. Mum and Dad came over and watched, and so yeah, I knew that I wanted a future in running, and I didn't really know what that looked like. I didn't think I was going to really get anywhere super competitive, but I just really enjoyed the solitude of training and you know, training at home on the footy ovals and riding my bike to different training locations and getting it done. I really enjoyed the feeling of pushing myself, and then that sort of translated into some better results. And then once I moved to Adelaide and was able to train with Team Tempo consistently and see the group all the time, I lifted to that next level because, you know, having training partners for the first time was awesome, having someone pushing me. So that was great. And then, yeah, just sort of the years just kept stacking on, and that consistency and the performances kept coming.
Was it hard to move away from a country town? Like, it's a different... Adelaide's not huge. Well, people often say that Adelaide is a big country town, but, like, was it, hard to move away from your family and stuff?
Yes and no. I guess going through high school, I always knew that I was going to move to Adelaide straight away for university and for running. So I was pretty excited. And also moving in with Jess and Dylan was just awesome. I didn't have to worry about, you know, living in any crazy rentals or having crazy housemates. It was people that were doing the same thing as me and were equally as obsessed with running as me, and getting the most out of themselves. So, yeah, I think it was more sort of happiness. But, yeah, it was the first year was hard, and it was a lot of figuring out. And I was only 18, sort of living by myself for the first time. But a lot of my friends were doing the same thing, so I didn't feel alone. Yeah,
what an opportunity, like, to be in the right place at the right time, I suppose, for the room up for grabs, and you slot yourself in, and she's going to the Olympics, and then they called you, Jess Stenson, for like the first 20 minutes of the race coverage on the weekend. So it must be strange now, though, when you're towing the line with her as a genuine competitor, like trying to make the same teams together.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Like, I think Jess and I have had similar upbringings and history in the sport, and we're both from the country, and so we sort of gravitate towards each other, and we both run in a similar way in that we're super driven and competitive, but we need like a good support system around us. Like when I'm running well, it's because I'm running happy and I've got good training partners and my friends out at Team Tempo and you know, my housemates around me, and I'm really just loving life. And I know that sounds really cheesy, but that sort of results in good performances for me. And I know the same with Jess. She really thrives quite a lot from having a strong community around her and her family and friends and that sort of thing. So we do lean on each other a bit, and we really enjoy catching up for runs on, you know, our Wednesday long run or Thursday runs and that sort of thing. And we're similar in terms of we both sort of love those sort of long reps or longer sessions, and I learn so much from her, and I want her every success, and I think she's exactly the same with me. There's no competition there. It's all just enjoyment, and we just want the best for each other in sport. So it's awesome to have her as that leader and showing the way for the rest of us.
Yeah, well put. The culture in the team, it's like it's almost every year someone just pops their head up and goes, okay, this person's now pushing for national spots. Like we saw it a bit with Isaac when he won a couple of the bigger road races. We've seen it with you, Maddie Clark. Jess has been doing it for years. What do you put it down to? Like, is it that, because it seems like from an outsider looking in, it seems like a very friendly, we're all in this together, there's no egos, like we all just get the job done and then put the races on the board. Like, have I kind of got that right? It seems like you guys just gel very well and just do your own thing over there and keep your heads down and train hard.
Yeah, absolutely. You've nailed it there. You know, Adam is really great with our planning and sort of race schedules and programs and that sort of thing. So he's behind the scenes just making sure that we're hitting the right races and doing everything that we can to sort of put our best foot forward to get into a team or get the result that we want. But really it comes down to also the other people that we have at Team Tempo. Like you said, there's no egos. Everyone's friends. Like we often have people come around to our house to play board games or, you know, do a bit of a run club on a Monday afternoon. We meet up and it's really fantastic. Like it's not so much the people that you see on the social media all the time, like the big names like Isaac and Clarkie and Jess. It's everyone else that comes together. You know, we have some footy umpires that I train with, and we have just people from all walks of life who are working and doing similar things, but then we all come together and we try and achieve sort of different goals, but we really work together, and there's no better feeling than everyone sort of crushing a session, and it just feels so good, and we're all really close friends. So yeah, it's a really like supportive environment where people have a laugh, we're a little bit silly, but we're also all really focused and driven, and we know what we need to do to succeed.
Yeah, and like you kind of explained in your weekly recap, like Tuesday you might have someone jumping in, but then Friday you've got different people jumping in. Like is that pretty constant that it's different people every workout, depending on what suits people?
Yeah, exactly. So Adam and Lokir will work pretty closely together to make sure that their athletes are doing similar things, and they'll sort of modify sessions if you know, some of Lokir's athletes can work with me, or you know, I might have Jess jump in to help me, or I'll jump in to help her. Like we've always got a training partner, which is great. And often some of the boys that are just ahead of me in sessions, like it really gives me a bit of a dangling carrot to try and catch them. And some of my best sessions have come from, you know, really just sticking on the back of them, and then you get a bit excited, and yeah, it's great. Like I really enjoy the people out there, and there's always someone to run with and to help push you.
Yeah. And let's talk about Caitlin outside of running. So there'll be a lot of people, hopefully we're kind of doing episodes like this. So the people watching you, I think SBS are going to be broadcasting the race live, but hopefully a lot of listeners are there on course as well. So it's good to know what you do outside of your PBs and your race results. So first year school teacher, just knocked that over. Is that right?
Yeah. So I graduated uni back in 2021, and then 2022 was my first year in the profession. So I'm a secondary teacher. I'm trained in maths and PE, but last year just mostly teaching PE and outdoor ed at the same school. So term one, I found it a little bit difficult, as I told you off air, to manage my running and sort of having a contract for the first time and all those things that they don't teach you at uni behind the scenes at school that you have to just figure out. Sort of had a bit of imposter syndrome going, wow, like I've been thrown in the deep end here, but I had heaps of support and I loved the staff at the school. But definitely I found that I just wasn't getting the results that I wanted in athletics. And at the end of the day, athletics is number one to me. Like I'm doing teaching at the moment just so that I can, help fund myself, and I like having something else to do as well. But essentially my universe revolves around running. So it was kind of disappointing to not get the most out of myself at the first half of last year, because I found teaching a bit stressful, and I was a little bit tired, and it was athletics season and I was always traveling. So that was tough. But then we went overseas. So myself, Adam Goddard, Clarkey, Isaac and Max Stevens, we went to the US for 6 weeks. We did a couple of races over there and a training camp in Albuquerque. So that was good, just to sort of reset and have my first experience at altitude. And then when I came back from that trip, I sort of learnt my mistakes from taking on too much work, and just sort of did some relief work to start with, and then picked up some small contracts here and there at the same school, but enough to just manage things, and really like accent will sort of help my running rather than be a hindrance. So yeah, I think I've figured out that like work, running, life balance now, which is good.
That's good. And what about like other hobbies other than running? Got time for anything else between running and teaching?
Well, at the moment I do, because I'm on holidays.
Yeah, it's a good time of year for school teachers, yeah.
It is, especially with World Cross Trials and some big races. I guess just we've been pretty obsessed with board games lately. We have some awesome beaches in Adelaide, so I love sort of going out, grabbing brunch and heading to the beaches. Heading home when I can too. I probably don't get home as much as I should, but that's always fun. And then, I like reading. And I mean, it's pretty busy in our household with the personalities that we have here. So we get up to a lot of mischief and a lot of like debriefs, talking, going through every aspect of running. So it can be quite intense.
Tell me more about the board games. My kids are too young for board games, but like, are you pulling out like the old like Guess Who and Trouble and Monopoly, stuff like that? Or like what gets a good run at your household?
Lately we've been pretty obsessed with Exploding Kittens and Secret Hitler, so they sound a bit intense, but
never heard of them.
So Secret Hitler is one of those games where you've got sort of people on the Liberal team, and then you've got two fascists, and you don't know who's on your team, and you have to sort of figure out who's on your team without one of those teams winning, if that makes sense. Okay. So it's a good like bluffing game. That's how I can describe it. Like it's really funny because with the different personalities, Isaac's very good at it, but like you can sort of figure out people's strategies and how they bluff and that sort of thing. So that's fun. I'd recommend anyone get that game.
Okay. And books you've been reading? What's been the last couple of books on the hit list?
I loved Where the Crawdads Sing. That was made into a movie recently. That was a great book.
That's a very good book. Movie not so good though. You seen the movie?
Yeah, so Lokir really enjoyed the movie, but he didn't read the book, whereas I was disappointed because I'd read the book and it didn't sort of live up to my expectations.
I'm with you on that one, yeah.
Yeah. So, and have been reading a lot of like Colleen Hoover recently, like Verity, that sort of thriller was quite interesting. But I sort of go through phases. I wouldn't mind reading some more sort of running biographies. Again, I think I go through a lot of those, and then I just get all this information about runners and past athletes, and then I just want to go through and read some different books.
Yeah. I find it the same, like you're reading to relax or like reading to like gain knowledge or motivation or inspiration from like running stuff. So yeah, sometimes it's a bit too hard to read running stuff if you just want to pick something up and relax and be reading a murder mystery or something like that. Yeah,
Jess has a really good like running book library, and she's recommended some books lately for me, so I might have to get back onto that. And I think just today she put on like the Lauren Fleshman one. I think she just said that was really good, so that'd be something to look out for. Yeah, definitely on the list. Caitlin, what else in 2023? We did a show at the end of the year. I'm not sure if you listened to it, but we all have to pick a couple of athletes each as if they're stock picks. And you were mine. I hadn't spoken to you, so I'd have no idea what's coming up, but I hope I'm already paying fantastic dividends from the World Cross Country Trials. Through the moon, Brady. Yeah, that's exactly right. But what's going to come up throughout 2023 race-wise? Well, I hope I can do you proud this year.
It's not about me, Caitlin, but I will make it about me if it's good.
I was on Moose's list last year, so I think the first half it was probably like, oh, I don't know about this pick, but maybe the second half I probably just got over the line. But yeah, this year's going to be pretty fun, actually. I have a lot of, big goals and pressure on myself, but at the end of the day, I just like to have fun and see what I can do and how far I can get in terms of teams, PBs, that sort of thing. So we're going to do World Cross, and then after that, we'll do the 3K at the Melbourne Track Classic. I think there's some big names coming over for that. So it's unfortunate that it's so close to World Cross, but it is a race that's really important, gold level meet, so we're going to hit that pretty hard too. We'll do the track season, focusing on some 5Ks, and then Lokir and I will be heading over to Europe in June. So he's taken some leave off of school. He's a teacher as well. So we'll be over there for about 2 to 3 months, and we're planning on turning it into a bit of a running and traveling trip. So we'll be hitting some of the races over in Europe and just living the life of pro athletes in terms of just training and focusing everything on running. So hopefully all goes well in the track season and I can go over to Europe and, get as close as I can to a qualifier. Things are pretty fast now. They keep dropping the 5K qualifiers, but I'm hoping to just sort of see how fast I can get and see if that sort of nudges me towards like some sort of selection. So that's the big goal, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, because the 5K, remind me, is it 15:08, 15:10?
It was 15:10. Now for World Champs, I think it's 14:57.
Okay.
And then for the Olympics, it's 14:53 or something like that. So getting it quicker, yeah.
So, but points are going to be ever so important. Hence the reason for the Melbourne track 3K.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, with the 5, you want to be targeting Melbourne track and also Sydney with the national 3K champs, and then national 5K. That'll be sort of the big 3 in Australia. And then depending on how I'm going after the track season and what potential I've sort of shown, we might head over to the US quickly for a race, but the main trip will be Europe.
Yeah, and then where does Oceania Champs fit in them? Like, will you miss them being away? I don't know dates on that yet.
Well, I wasn't too sure like when they were. I tried to sort of look up what was going on with that, but I assume they'll be in June again. I probably will miss them, which will be a bit of a shame because, the points are so big. But I guess if we need to make it work, we'll try and make it work. So yeah, I just hadn't really got much information about that. So
which does make it hard for people in your situation, like trying to, when the times are, like realistically, Jess Hull might be the only person that hits that 5K time.
Yeah.
And it's all about, trying to find as many points as possible. So having those dates early for you guys to plan your years around is ever so important.
Yeah, definitely. And then just like the selection criteria and those sorts of things. But yeah you're right. It's going to be with the Olympics and with World Champs in Budapest this year. It'll just be a race to the end of the qualifying period. Like you'll have an idea, but depending on your ranking, you won't really know until it closes. So that's where, people, potentially could get burnt out by just racing so much and trying to chase points. So yeah, hopefully we'll do it the smart way and sort of plan some big races to hit and then see how that goes.
Especially you guys, like you're hitting 10Ks in December. And then World Cross Trials in Jan and World Cross Champs in Feb. Like, you're up for a very long time if you're talking about going through to the end of the qualification period.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's why Adam hasn't really introduced any track with me whatsoever. Like, I've been on the grass track at McKinnon, but haven't, stepped foot on the actual synthetic track, and doing that sort of fast work I haven't really touched yet. So I think that'll serve me well. It's almost like we're doing an extended sort of winter season to make sure that the summer season we don't get too burnt out. And obviously the main focus is World Cross and getting as fit as we can and prepared as we can for that. So hopefully just the residuals from that will be that we're ready for track as well, off of being super fit.
Yeah. And let's say back in Australia, we're not sure what's going to happen on the track throughout 2023, but you get back to Australia October, November. Do we see you potentially step up to like a half marathon somewhere, or like the Burnie 10 again, and like win a couple of Noosa Bolt? Like, you've got a pretty good record on those roads from that kind of October through to December period.
Yeah, I love the roads. I had such a fun time over the winter season. Like, it's really where my heart is. So I definitely think sometime in the future I'd love to give the marathon a go. I just feel really comfortable on the roads, and training goes really well. So when I am doing that sort of work, but I think, this year I would like to do the half marathon. I actually sort of considered last year in Melbourne maybe doing the half, but just because we were sort of too close to it, we hadn't really done the work for a half. So I just decided to stick to the 10. But I think I could, focus on a half this year, but definitely still do those main races like your Noosa, Burnie and City to Bay, wherever they sort of fit in. I'll be hitting a couple of them, if not all of them, when I can.
Yeah. And one of the last ones from me, the ASICS spike that you're wearing at the moment, like one of the side shows we do with a guy, Toby Mende, and he raced a 10K in it last week. It's a spike without a spike, but he reckons it's amazing. Like, an ASICS aren't sponsored this show or anything like this, and of course you're an ASICS athlete, but can you tell us more about, is that what you've been hitting the grass track on and what you wore at World Cross Country Trials on the weekend? Yeah,
so I wore that spike at the trials, and pretty much that's really their only long distance spike at the moment, but I really like it. It's your typical super spike in terms of it's got the rocker sole, it's got the foam, the carbon plate, but you're right, it doesn't have any proper spikes. It's just got an aggressive plate, sort of plastic style plate, but it feels really nice underfoot. It's probably the perfect spike for a track 10K, just because it's almost a little bit more on, say, the racing flat end rather than a really aggressive spike. Like, I think the Vaporfly and the New Balance are a little bit more aggressive, so maybe they're a bit like more leaning towards like your 1500 or your 5K, but I've really enjoyed the ASICS spike. It's the Metaspeed LD. What I wore at the trials, it feels really good with socks on, socks off. Yeah, everyone in our group has been, even the people who aren't with ASICS have been opting to wear that spike. It's been really popular.
Yeah, I've only heard good things. Well, Caitlin, thanks for your time. Listeners, get up to Bathurst. I think it's Feb 16th, 17th, Caitlin. You should know this more than me. 18th, something like that. It's around whatever weekend falls around those high teens there. That's when the race is. In action the Saturday afternoon. Get up there, get on the sidelines, cheer for Caitlin. She'll be representing Australia as best she can. See her in person. And, massive good luck for the next, I suppose it's only, 4 weeks tomorrow, preparation time. So, it's going to come around pretty quick. And then, all the best with the race execution. And we've actually got passes to be in the media zone at the end. We've got like all these official stuff. So we're very happy at Inside Running. So we'll see you.
As you guys should, that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if we should, but we've jumped through some hoops and filled in some forms. So we're going to be there at the finish line. So looking forward to just seeing you in a official capacity in the media mix zone at the end there. Good luck.
That'll be awesome. Thank you.
Thanks heaps for your time, Caitlin.
Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to Bathurst. See you guys there.
Built for speed, made to last the distance. In 2023, the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro wants to push you forward to the future. Available now at mizuno.com.au and selected running specialty retailers.